Chapter 1. I wanna live. I can't die like this. The dark forest, the mottled shadows of the trees and the boy covered in blood. Firm and cruel words were squeezed out of the boy's mouth along with blood. Today's moon seemed to be stained with a touch of red. It was beautiful as if it was soaked in blood. A stream of blood, a vengeful soul, entangled in the boy's mind. It was like a lingering nightmare. The happy family and familiar faces disappeared into the distance amidst the screams and the spurting of blood. It's difficult for him to live. He lost too much blood. An old voice said, with a little fatigue and helplessness, "Grandpa, save him. If it weren't for us, the tragedy yesterday wouldn't have happened at all. In a village far away from the war, hundreds of lives were lost because of us." The girl's voice sounded, but halfway through she didn't continue, only a burst of sobs sounded. "Child, Looking at the girl's tear-stained face, the old man seemed to have made an important decision, and a trace of determination flashed in his eyes. "I'm old. I don't have many years to live." The old man suddenly said such an inauspicious topic, and the girl's heart throbbed. "Grandpa, child, it's okay? I've lived for so long, what can't I understand? Birth, old age, illness, and death are nothing more than that. I'm just afraid that it's too difficult for you to stay alone in this war-torn ninja world, so I'm struggling at death's door. Human life has never been high or low. These people died because of us and we have to do the same. Even if we can only save this child, at least it will make my heart feel less guilty." The old man's voice fell and there was a long silence for a long time. The old man turned his head and looked at the boy lying on the bed in a severe coma, stretched out his dry hands, lifted the boy up and whispered softly, "Child, I will use the last of my strength to let you live, let you have some capital to survive. My fault, I hope it can dissipate a little because of this. But I hope you can protect Rower and let her live. This is my last request. From now on your name is Nangongja. Let go of the past, work hard and live on with determination." Waves of pale blue light emerged from the old man's body. It was as if numerous small stars were revolving around the old man. His withered arms and aged face vaguely became younger. More and more rays of light appeared, and like a river, they slowly converged on the young man's. Nangongja's palm and slowly seeped into the young man's body. The messy wounds on the young man's body gradually healed, and he slowly became stronger. After a long time, following the girl's cries, the light disappeared. The old man had also disappeared, leaving only a dazzling blue crystal and a black longsword buried in a pile of ash. "Who am I?" A pair of eyes opened as the other pair of eyes disappeared. A slightly confused voice sounded. "Your name is Nangongja. You're my brother." The young girl replied. "What about you?" Hearing the young girl's reply, Nangongja struggled to use his weak arms, sat up straight and looked at the young girl. "My name is Nangong Ro, I'm your sister." The young girl smiled, opened her tightly closed lips and revealed her white teeth. She was trying her best to smile. However, her eyes were still filled with tears that resembled the stars. This was a world of cannibalism. Every day there would be countless killings and blood flowing freely in this place. Two young people, with a belly full of worries and ignorant expressions, he stepped into this bloody place. Chapter 2. Life is always difficult and nowhere is life easy. Now Nangongja had a clear understanding of this. Nangongja is only 12 years old. In the ninja world, except for the small ninja in the major ninja villages who can do some tasks and get paid, it is difficult to get a job that can support him and his sister. Fortunately, the town where Nangongja is located is a subordinate town around Konoha in the Land of Fire, and there will be some orders from the local tyrants of the shinobi village. In order to make a living, Nangongja entered a blacksmith shop and became an apprentice. Barely enough to support himself and his sister. "I'm back." Opening the shabby door, Nangongja opened the small room rented by the blacksmith shop owner. "Oni-san, you're back, the meal will be ready in a while." "Wait for a while." Nangong Ro's crisp voice came from the small kitchen. The tiredness and hardships of the day seemed to disappear quietly. Nangongja quietly put his hands that were red and swollen with a few blisters behind his back. "Well, I don't know what delicious food you made today." Oh, Oni-san. Why are you calling me such a strange nickname again?" Nangong Ro's small face looked a bit cute from the kitchen, and her slightly pouted mouth seemed to be able to hang a soy sauce bottle. "What's wrong? Is meaty not good? Don't you want to eat meaty every day?" Nangongja said with a bit of banter, half jokingly. "Oni-san." Nangong Ro looked at her brother, her nose was slightly sour and a few tears filled her small eyes. "Ro, don't be angry. I won't call you meaty, okay? Nangongja panicked when he saw that his sister was about to cry. He took a few steps forward and gently hugged Nangong Ro. Then he placed his right hand on Nangong Ro's head and gently stroked it. No, brother. I'm not unhappy because you called me by my nickname. I was just wondering when we'll be able to live a better life. Nangong Ro was only 10 years old this year, and the heavy burden of life was already on her small shoulders. This kind of burden created too much pressure for the little girl. Don't worry. I can slowly use the power that grandfather left for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to find work at the blacksmith shop. When Big Brother becomes stronger, we can apply to go to Woodleaf and become official villagers. Even if it's just Woodleaf's minimum living allowance, we don't have to live so bitterly anymore. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Everyone knows that there are 5 major countries in the ninja world, and each country has a powerful ninja village. But a ninja village has tens of thousands of people, and 80% of them are professional ninjas, not engaged in production. So where does the food come from? Where does the drink come from? Where do all kinds of daily necessities come from? Every ninja village has many subordinate towns that provide these things to the ninja village. Nangongja is in such a town. A town with no name, only a number, 12th town. Well, I believe in Big Brother. Big Brother will definitely become an official villager of Woodleaf. Nangong Ro nodded her little head vigorously. With a firm gaze, she gently wiped some tears from the corner of her eyes with her small hands. Get up. Let's go eat. Nangongja gently helped Nangong Ro to sit in front of the small table, and he went to the kitchen to get food. There was miso soup, a few leaves, a small plate of pickles, and a bowl of rice. However, the 2 children ate with relish. With joy after a full meal, the 2 children hugged each other and fell asleep under a slightly thin quilt. Oh, you came. Early in the morning, before the sun came out, Nangongja went to the blacksmith shop and began to prepare for the day's work. One by one, the farm tools were neatly moved out by Nangongja's thin body. The shopkeeper uncle came out from the backyard with sleepy eyes and yawned. Well, uncle, I also brought some breakfast, let's eat together? The uncle was in his 40s and he still lived alone. He didn't see the uncle's wife or children, nor did he see the uncle's relatives. But occasionally when he saw the uncle in a daze, there was a bit of vicissitudes in his eyes. Nangongja didn't ask about these things. Really? That's great. Xiao Ro's craftsmanship is great. I don't know which young man will be lucky enough to marry Xiao Ro. Looking at the simple but somewhat warm breakfast, the uncle opened his big mouth and said with a bit of alcohol. Ro is still young, let's talk about it later. Oh? What, you're still so young but you already know how to protect your sister. You have the potential to be a Siskan Xiaoxia. Uncle. Facing the uncle's teasing, Nangongja called out with a bit of a blush. Okay. I won't joke with you. Today I received an order from Woodleaf to make a batch of shurikens. Let's go, we'll be busy for a while. The uncle gently patted Nangongja's head. Then his rough hand rubbed Nangongja's hair into a bird's nest. Woodleaf ordered weapons from us? They entrusted us with this kind of thing. Are they going to war? Nangongja looked at the uncle with a bit of hidden sadness in his eyes. The uncle had lived for a long time, so how could Nangongja not notice the sadness in his eyes? It's okay, we're very close to Woodleaf, they won't fight here. Don't worry, even if the situation is bad, Woodleaf will arrange for us to go to a fallout shelter. Okay, I know, uncle. Didn't I already tell you my name? Why do you keep calling me uncle? Am I that old? You have a head of white hair but you still say you're young. It's good enough to call you uncle? Oh, you little brat, are you itching for a beating? The uncle used his thumb to drill Nangongja's temple. Nangongja could only beg for mercy. In the blacksmith shop, there began to be clanking sounds and waves of heat. Life was like this day after day. Boring. Tiring. But this was Nangongja's most beautiful memory. Compared to the bloody storm that followed, wasn't this calmness also a precious treasure? But Nangongja didn't understand this. He only wanted to sharpen his head and enter Woodleaf, that magnificent door. Chapter 3. As the days passed, Nangongja also welcomed a long-awaited rest day. Originally, the concept of rest days didn't exist in the blacksmith shop, but the value of a batch of Woodleaf orders was self-evident. The boss uncle waved his hand and gave himself and Nangongja a half-month-long holiday, wanting to let him rest for a few days. Nangongja's hard work every day was seen by the uncle. It was indeed not easy for a young boy to bear the burden of his and his sister's life. However, Nangongja didn't take advantage of the holiday to slack off. because he still needed to work hard to strive for a guarantee of his own life in this troubled world, his own strength. Before his grandfather died, he used his life strength to forcibly lay a foundation for Nangongja. Not everyone could cultivate chakra just by getting the so-called chakra book. Otherwise, with the 5 major countries' population base, how could only give birth to a ninja from a ninja village? Almost everyone who became a ninja had a bloodline inheritance, which was like a hidden blood stain, the trait of becoming a ninja. Nangongja originally didn't have it. Even at the cost of his grandfather's life, he only managed to open a small gap in the heavy door that sealed his future. How far he could go and how strong he could become still depended on Nangongja's own opportunities and efforts. His grandfather could only leave Nangongja the key to open the door, the black sword. At this time, Nangongja was holding the black sword in his hand and came to a small forest behind his residence. The black sword was 4 feet long, which was standard for adults. The blade was very narrow, almost parallel to the hilt, in the shape of a dragon's head. A blade was spat out from the dragon's mouth. The hilt was slightly textured like a piece of dragon scales. It seemed to be shining, and at first glance it was a good sword, but in fact it wasn't like that. This sword was pitch black. Even if it was held under the sun, no light could be seen reflected. There were also some small and dense cracks on the body of the sword, making people wonder if the sword would be damaged during the battle. The forest was not far from the residence, and it only took a few minutes to reach it. "Come out. You've been following me all the way. Why aren't you coming out?" Nangongja stabbed his long sword into the ground and leaned on the sword that was slightly longer than him. He looked at the small tree behind him and the small figure beside the tree. "Big brother." As the voice sounded, Nangong's small figure jumped out from behind the tree. She was both excited and nervous. All right. How can I scold you with that expression?" Nangongja could only helplessly look at his overly lively sister, not knowing what to say. "I like my brother to practice swordsmanship." When Nangongro saw her brother's expression, she immediately ran over and hugged Nangongja's arm. "All right. You can sit here, but don't be too noisy." As soon as she finished speaking, Nangongja waved the long sword in his hand and cut down a tree that was as thick as a plate. The cross-section was very smooth. "Big brother is so violent." Nangongro pouted and looked at Nangongja. However, the smile in her eyes still overflowed. "All right, you can sit here obediently." After patting Nangongro's head, he didn't wait for Nangongro's reply and walked straight to the narrow space in front of him. He gently waved the black sword in his hand. At first, his movements were very slow, so slow that it seemed like the swordsman was very tired. Perhaps in the next second, the long sword would fly out of his hand and the swordsman would fall asleep. Once, twice, thrice, the sword became faster and faster. The black sword that originally didn't reflect light left a trail of sword marks under the effect of the speed. Intertwined, spread, and painted. The sword no longer looked like a sword but more like a brush. Sometimes it was rough, sometimes it was light, and sometimes it was swift and fierce. A few leaves were lifted up, and the tip of the sword lightly touched the leaves so that they didn't fall to the ground for a long time. They were like butterflies among the flowers, wandering in the sea of flowers formed by the sword marks. Looking at Nangongja, who was happily waving the sword, Nangongro was absent-minded. "Grandpa, you're right. Big brother's aptitude for cultivation is indeed very poor, but his understanding and control of the sword is unparalleled. He will definitely be able to create a world of his own. But is what we're doing really good? We've sealed off his previous memories even if he doesn't know the whole story. Will this insurance be insurance or a fuse that leads to the explosives? Things have already come to this, there's no way to change it. With Big Brother's temperament, maybe he won't vent his anger on me, but how can Big Brother let those ninjas who massacred the village go? With Big Brother's current strength he can deal with ordinary people. But against real ninjas who kill for a living, it's still not enough. Even if it's the lowest level ninja, Big Brother will have a hard time dealing with them. What's more, those people who massacred the village." Shaking her head, she cleared her thoughts. Nangongro blinked her eyes and looked at Nangongja again. "Big brother, don't worry. Your sword is in a mess." Nangongro saw Nangongja's sword getting faster and faster, but a leaf slipped through, so she reminded him. "Okay." Nangongja opened his mouth to reply, but the sword chi leaked out and a few leaves fell to the ground. Nangong's family swordsmanship is passed down in the family, and the most important thing is not the moves. I'm only at the beginner's level and I still can't really control the thick true chi that Grandpa passed on to me, so I can only use it crudely. Sigh. Looks like I have to continue working hard. Nangongja raised his hand and looked at the black sword in his hand. His fingertips gently rubbed the veins and cracks on the sword's spine. Okay. Grandpa took 3 years to reach the beginner's level, but big brother, you've only started for 3 months. What's there to be anxious about? Let's go home, I'll cook something good for you. Today the aunt next door came over and brought some beef. She said she bought too much and asked us to share the burden. How is it? Are you happy? We have meat to eat. Nangong Ro looked at Nangong's gloomy face and comforted him, changing the topic. Is that so? The aunt next door is not doing well either. Her husband died in the war and she's alone with her child. Ro, when we go back, take some money and buy some necessities for the aunt next door. We can't take advantage of the aunt, got it? Nangongja raised his hand and held Nangong Ro's small hand. He put his sword behind his back and said, Got it, big brother is so long-winded. How can I not know about these things? Stop nagging here, I'll go back and make you some beef stew. After saying that, Nangong Ro skipped to the front. Looking at Nangong Ro's small back, Nangongja's eyes wavered. How can I not be anxious? I just want you to live happily. What? Chapter 4. For Nangongja, 15 days passed by too quickly. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble during the day, he would meditate at home, think about the way of the sword, and train his inner strength. At night, he would train in the forest behind the house. Although 15 days was neither too long nor too short, it was much better than squeezing out time to practice swordsmanship when he was working in the blacksmith shop. But after all, he was cultivating by himself. There were many difficulties, and Nangongja's memories of the past were blurry. Therefore, Nangongja could only feel his way through the river. He relied on the essence of the black sword intent and the internal energy that circulated in his body to slowly cultivate. The place where Nangongja and his sister lived was relatively far from the town. Otherwise, Nangongja would not have enough money to pay the rent. Therefore, every time Nangongja went to the blacksmith shop to work, he had to wake up early. However, unlike before, Nangong Ro insisted on going to the blacksmith shop with her brother on the first day of work. Nangongja could not withstand his sister's verbal bombardment. He could only awkwardly hold his sister's hand and go to the blacksmith shop. It's over. I'm going to be laughed at by that uncle. He always said that I have a sister complex. Now that he's like this, I don't know how long he's going to tease me. Nangongja turned his head slightly and muttered. Nangong Ro saw Nangongja's expression and could not help but hold Nangongja's hand tightly. What? You're muttering, you must be up to no good. If you don't want to, I'll come with you. Can't you be a little proud with such a cute sister? Nangongja heard his sister's words and felt even more awkward. When did my sister awaken this attribute? Why didn't I notice it at all? How can that be, right? How proud can my sister be with me? All right, don't be angry. We're almost at Big Brother's workplace. Nangongja subconsciously felt that if he didn't go and laugh along, the consequences would be extremely miserable. He could only throw away his face and flatter him. Big Brother is a liar. Forget it, I'll give you some face. For some reason, Nangong Ro's little face was slowly covered with a layer of pink, bright and warm. Accompanied by the slight mist and soft morning light, it formed a beautiful picture. Nangongja could not help but stare blankly. Seeing her brother like this, Nangong Ro became even more embarrassed. She forcefully pulled Nangongja's arm. Let's go, what are you doing? Nangongja finally woke up from his stupor. A sense of guilt welled up in his heart. After all, Nangong Ro was his sister, but could it be that he was really a siscon? Nangongja patted his face with both hands in an attempt to wake himself up. Finally, he walked into the blacksmith shop. Little Zhe, you're here. The uncle happened to be sitting in the main hall of the blacksmith shop. When he saw Nangongja walk in, he suddenly saw Nangong Ro standing behind Nangongja. Little Zhe, you see, I said. Without waiting for the boss to finish speaking, Nangongja quickly covered the uncle's mouth and pulled him to the back hall. As he pulled, he called for his sister to rest in the main hall. Nangongja pulled the boss to the back, and as expected, the boss began to talk about how Nangongja's siscon had awakened. However, Nangongja didn't hear a single word. He was only looking at the items on the table in the back hall. The boss finally realized that his words didn't have the effect that he had imagined, so he stopped. He followed Nangongja's line of sight and saw the items on the table. Little Zhe, let me talk to you about something serious. Uncle, do you still have something serious to say? Hey. Even though we're close, I'll sue you for slander. Uncle, where did you learn this from? I don't know, I unknowingly. Wait, why did the topic change again? Don't open your mouth, don't speak. I know you're going to complain again, let me finish first. Nangongzhi and the uncle always talked like this. However, when he saw the serious expression on the uncle's face, Nangongzhi knew that he couldn't continue messing around. He nodded slightly to show that he understood. Let's talk about something serious. Little Zhe, I've seen your efforts all this time. Not only your performance in the blacksmith shop, but also your sword practice in the small forest behind the house at night. Don't look so scared. After all, I'm the one who found the house for you, so I know some things. I know that little Zhe, you're working so hard to become an official villager in Woodleaf. You and your sister have a hard life, so becoming an official villager is naturally a good thing. That's why I want to help you. As he spoke, he picked up the things on the table and took out an envelope from his pocket. I made this gauntlet for you. I've observed your swordsmanship. Considering that the official 4-foot sword is a bit too long for you, I made this gauntlet for you. It's better than wearing a piece of tattered cloth or leather when you practice swordsmanship, right? This letter is my recommendation letter for you. Uncle, although I'm not a ninja, I'm actually from a ninja family. Uncle's family is considered a respectable family. Take my letter, and I'm sure that the people in the family will give me face and arrange for you to join Woodleaf. I don't have any children, so I'm very happy with the two of you accompanying me. But I know in my heart that your future doesn't lie here. You can go even further. Let's go. Let's go to the front hall. Xiaoro is still waiting there. Nangongzhi was dumbfounded by Uncle Blacksmith's words. Nangongzhi thought that he had hidden it well, but Uncle Blacksmith had found out everything about him. Although it didn't affect him much, the impact was still too great. Uncle Blacksmith suddenly turned around and looked at Nangongzhi, who was still standing there in a daze, and grinned. Alright, you keep calling me Uncle Blacksmith. Do you still remember my name? Yes, I definitely don't remember. Uncle Blacksmith, my surname is Chimu. After a long time, perhaps Uncle Blacksmith had already gone to the front hall to take care of his sister. Nangongzhi finally came back to his senses. He hugged the slightly cold gauntlet in his arms, and an inexplicable feeling lingered in his heart. Uncle Blacksmith's kindness to him came from the bottom of his heart, and there was no ulterior motive. This feeling made Nangongzhi feel exceptionally warm. But Nangongzhi had a bigger goal than becoming a blacksmith for the rest of his life. There was no solution to this problem. Chapter 5. After receiving the recommendation letter and gauntlet from Hataki uncle, Nangongzhi was still in a trance. For a 12-year-old Nangongzhi, no matter how mature and steady he was still a child after all. Such a large amount of information was like a huge wave in the sea, and it almost overwhelmed Nangongzhi. Hataki family? How many people in the ninja world didn't remember this family? Woodleaf White Fang Hataki Tsukumo. This person was famous throughout the ninja world, and even the Sannin couldn't compete with him. White Fang had killed countless opponents until their blood flowed like a river. An uncle actually belonged to this family. What's even more incredible is that as a descendant of a prominent family, Uncle Hataki Tsukumo should be able to get the title of a ninja, right? But this also explains why Woodleaf would order weapons from Uncle Hataki Tsukumo's blacksmith shop. After all, they were on the same side, so of course there was a certain degree of trust. In a daze, the day came to an end. After returning home, looking at the gauntlet and black sword in front of him, Nangongzhi had a contemplative look on his face. Uncle Hataki family was famous for their swordsmanship, so he naturally had a certain degree of insight. Uncle Hataki Tsukumo gave him the gauntlet for a reason, but the specific use of it was up to Nangongzhi to discover it himself. Everyone's fighting style and swordsmanship should have their own characteristics, otherwise it would be a dead object. Nangongzhi was very clear about this point. This is also why when his grandfather died, he didn't leave a sword manual, but left the black sword full of swordsmanship. Only by exploring and improving oneself can one truly belong to oneself. After meditating for a long time, Nangongzhi seemed to have comprehended something, so he put on the gauntlet and black sword and went to the back of the forest. The black sword was a long sword and it was 4 feet long, which was 1.2 meters. Nangongzhi was only 12 years old, and although his growth was good, he was only about 1.65 meters. Therefore the black sword was still too long for Nangongzhi. Most of the time, Nangongzhi wielded his sword single-handedly to display his sword skills. Arm strength could be trained, but there was nothing that could be done about arm length. After receiving the gauntlet Nangongzhi, he studied it carefully. The gauntlet wasn't a regular half gauntlet. Instead, it was a gauntlet that covered the elbows and wrists. The surface wasn't smooth. Instead, there were some patterns on it and some parts were hollow. Nangongja tried to slash the back of the sword across the gauntlet, and it actually produced a series of ear-piercing sounds. This was something that could be exploited. After understanding these things, Nangongja still needed to practice. Thus, he got into a fighting stance and put the gauntlet on his left arm. He held the sword in his right hand and pressed the blade against the gauntlet. At first, the sound was ear-piercing. Not to mention affecting the enemy, it affected the user first. However, as he practiced again and again, Nangongja slowly began to feel something. The sound of the blade rubbing against the gauntlet slowly became different. The sound, along with his breathing and heartbeat, formed a different kind of harmony. His movements became more and more coherent, and the sword mark became more and more piercing. The black sword intent was stirred up, and it emitted a faint light. At this time, Nangongja began to try to transfer his internal energy into the black sword and the gauntlet. There was almost no resistance, and the edge of the black sword became a blade made of internal energy. Success! Nangongja's face was filled with joy. On a tree on the edge of the open space, Hataki uncle was watching with a stunned expression. This kid is really a genius. He's even more talented than Tsukumo. He can change his sword path according to the changes in his equipment in just one day. It seems that I made the right choice in recommending him. The Hataki family is now in a period of shortage. Tsukumo is really strong, but the next generation is still not enough. Although Kakashi's performance is not bad, his talent in swordsmanship is not as good as Tsukumo's. He can't really bear the burden of the family. Should join the Woodleaf family with my recommendation letter. Although he is not an official member of the Hataki family, he is still close to the Hataki family. Don't blame Uncle. Although Uncle and the old guys in the family are not on good terms, it is still my family. If there is a chance to help, naturally I will help. Uncle's eyes flickered for a while, then he shook his ankle and skillfully displayed his strength. He shuttled through the forest like a light swan, and his figure soon disappeared. Uncle? Nangongja suddenly looked up and muttered to himself while looking at a tree not far away. Internal energy was not as good as chakra, which could perform a variety of ninjutsu, but it made people's eyes and ears sharp, and the six senses superhuman. Nangongja didn't pay attention to it before, but his uncle said that he had seen him practice swordsmanship. So naturally he paid attention to his surroundings. But Nangongja didn't think too much about it. It was normal for Uncle to have his own ideas. As long as Uncle never had any bad intentions, Nangongja didn't plan to be too stingy. He raised his hand and looked at the black sword, muttering to himself. This is the most convenient swordsmanship practice I have ever had. I can continue to develop it. The most important thing is that it suits me. Pulling the black sword back into the scabbard on his back, Nangongja walked back to his house. He and Nangongro packed their luggage and prepared to officially move in at the Woodleaf family. The night passed with excitement and apprehension. Early the next morning, Nangongja took his sister to visit the neighbors who had taken care of them. After that, they went to the blacksmith shop. Nangongro personally made a sumptuous lunch for Uncle Qinghui. Uncle Qinghui drank a little too much. He kept muttering about the Woodleaf family and the Qinghui family, but the person he talked about the most was White Fang. Uncle Qinghui, I don't know why you think so highly of me and gave me the opportunity to move in at the Woodleaf family. But Nangongja will remember this favor. If Uncle Qinghui needs any help in the future, I will definitely come and help you. Nangongja helped Uncle Qinghui to the bedroom at the back and looked at Uncle Qinghui who was sleeping on the bed. His firm tone and serious eyes didn't show any signs of deceit. After that, he closed the door and walked out. After Nangongja left, Uncle Qinghui sat up. His eyes were clear and he didn't look drunk at all. This kid is really smart. Can he tell that I'm not drunk? Fine. Fortunately, this kid has a good temperament. Otherwise, it would be terrible if it backfired. Woodleaf, Qinghui, recently I have a feeling that something big is going to happen. On a whim I helped this kid. Hopefully I didn't make a bad move. Uncle Qinghui then fell back on the bed with his eyes wide open. No one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 6. Early the next morning, Nangongja arrived at the gate of Woodleaf with a few bags of luggage. Perhaps it was too early when he arrived, the gate of Woodleaf was not open yet. The magnificent gate was accompanied by the light mist of the morning, exuding a little hazy and mysterious. The red gate exuded an inexplicable feeling of iron and blood. The emblem of Woodleaf Ninja Village shone in the morning light, as if illuminating the path of hope for everyone who came here. This is the place where I'm going to start living. Very good. Then come. With the creaking sound of the door opening, the entire wood leaf came into Nangong's eyes. The magnificent shadow rock, the tall buildings, and the ninjas with forehead protectors walking around. He gently took his sister's hand and walked to the gate of wood leaf. Hello. I'm Nangong, recommended by Uncle Hataki of the 12 Towns blacksmith shop. This is the document, please take a look. Nangong walked in front of the ninja and handed over the recommendation letter and some other life documents. The ninja took it and muttered to himself, That's right. That's right. Hataki. That's strange, they almost never use the recommendation. Is this kid so powerful that he can be recommended by Hataki? He didn't pay attention to Nangong's reaction and turned around to start the relevant registration. With a bit of expectation and anxiety, Nangong slowly waited for the formalities to be completed. Hey Tanaka-kun, are you on duty today? Thank you for your hard work. Suddenly a clear voice came from behind. The gate ninja, Tanaka, turned his head and respectfully saluted. Watergate-sama, welcome back to the village. Oh, don't be so formal, Tanaka-kun. We're still classmates, so it's fine to be casual. The blond man scratched the back of his head and said a little awkwardly. Oh, Watergate-sama's contribution to Woodleaf is worthy of my respect. Tanaka-kun sure is serious. Who is this child? This is Nangong and his sister. They were recommended by Lord Chimu of 12 Towns and want to officially join Woodleaf Village. As soon as he finished speaking, a childish voice sounded. Kakashi. He was recommended by your family. Do you know him? Or is he? Hey. Before he could finish his sentence, the teenager began to smile in a wretched manner. Although he did not say it clearly, his teammates who had known him for a long time knew what he meant. He did not care that Nangongja had used the Hataki family's connections. I don't know. A cool-looking white-haired young man replied, but his hand was already slowly reaching for the dagger on his back. Although I don't know the reason, Obito, are you mentally prepared to humiliate the Hataki family? Okay. Kakashi, don't be like this, Obito was just joking, you know him? And Obito, it's very rude of you to say that, hurry up and apologize. A girl saw the tense atmosphere and knew something was wrong. She quickly came up to dissuade Kakashi, and angrily looked at Obito and asked him to apologize. Rin. Seeing that Rin was not on his side, Obito's brain began to go crazy again. This person obviously did not practice chakra. But he was still recommended by the Hataki family, what else could it be? Did I say something wrong? Obito raised his voice to prove that what he said was right. To join Woodleaf, especially to become an official villager, one first had to prove one's innocence and then test one's strength. It was difficult for people without strength to join Woodleaf, unless they had someone behind them. Nangongja was indeed in a disadvantageous position in this regard. This ninja? You can't judge a book by its cover. Judging a person's strength based on whether or not they practice chakra is one-sided. Is this the attitude of a Woodleaf ninja? Nangongja looked at Obito, who was so excited that his face was red, and retorted. You bastard. Looking at Nangongja's attitude, Obito immediately became angry, rolled up his sleeves and was about to punch Nangongja to vent his anger. At this moment, the white-haired boy Kakashi stopped him. He was recommended by my family, I will deal with him. Looking at Nangongja, Kakashi continued to say. You were recommended by the elders of the family, I shouldn't say anything, but I still have to consider you. Although Obito's words are sometimes biased, there is a certain truth to them. Since you have a sword, you must also be a swordsman, we might as well have a contest and it can be considered as a fair game. Listening to Kakashi's words, Nangongja nodded in his heart. This is the style of a ninja in Nangongja's mind. Calm, rational and not afraid to fight. What's more, he really hasn't fought with a ninja before. Although he is confident, there is nothing wrong with a real fight, not to mention it can also be considered as a fair game, so why not? Seeing Nangongja's expression of agreement, Kakashi slowly reached his hand behind his back and pulled out his short sword. Woodleaf Chunin Hataki Kakashi. Woodleaf Villager, Nangongja. Please. Along with the voices of the two, there was also the sound of swords clashing. Looking at the dagger coming straight at his face, Nangongja raised his left arm's gauntlet and knocked it away. Then, the black sword slashed out from under his arm, aiming at Kakashi's lower ribs. What a strange way of swords. Looking at Nangongja's strange swordsmanship, Kakashi couldn't help but be serious. This person is not simple. The two of them went back and forth, exchanging blows continuously. The crisscrossing of swords, the gradually blurred figure burst out in front of the Woodleaf's gate, showing off their brilliance. Some ninjas passing by also stopped to watch. Such a cold confrontation in the field of ninjas is rare. Obito looked at the two figures, and his nose gradually exuded some cold sweat. Such a person, the person who can confront Kakashi, a Chunin, is the person he just provoked? If this person is not qualified to join the Wood Leaf, then what is he, a person who barely passed the Genin exam? The battle gradually came to an end. Nangongjia slowly looked a little tired, and his movements gradually became slower. Kakashi won the advantage, and the biting cold offensive forced Nangongjia to retreat step by step. But the fighting spirit in his eyes didn't dissipate at all. Instead, it became more blazing. This is a ninja. This is a ninja in battle. Hot blood accumulated in his chest, and his internal force was circulating faster and faster. Fight, fight, fight. Not for any other reason, just for the sake of fighting. Chapter 7. Fight, fight, fight. If Nangongjia's thoughts had to be described in words, then there was only the word, fight. There was nothing else. Looking at Nangongjia, who was immersed in the battle, Nangongrou's eyes were in a trance. Sacrifice Heart Sutra. Pour your will, life, and even your everything into every move. There is nothing else besides this sword. Even with the guidance of the Black Sword, it is extremely difficult to enter such a state. Although I have seen my brother's talent in swordsmanship time and time again, I never thought that he would be able to reach this stage. Nangongrou sighed in her heart. How long had it been since she had seen someone use the Sacrifice Heart Sutra? If she had not seen this strange term in the ancient books when she was young and asked her grandfather, she would not have known about the existence of such a technique. No. To be precise, the Sacrifice Heart Sutra was not a technique, but a talent and a will. Looks like I can give that sword technique to my brother. One can only learn it by sacrificing one's will. It's practically tailor-made for my brother. Without mentioning Nangongrou's decision, Kakashi, who was fighting with Nangongjia, felt that the pressure he was facing was increasing. Originally, he had almost forced Nangongjia to the brink of defeat, but almost in the blink of an eye, Nangongjia's sword changed. Unlike the strange and agile sword at the beginning, Nangongjia's sword was accumulating a biting cold aura bit by bit. It was a kind of suppression that came from the sword. The short sword in Kakashi's hand, which was given to him by his father, was a peerless item. It had been with him for a long time, and there was a faint strange connection between him and the short sword. The short sword also had its own feelings. This time the short sword was transmitting fear, uneasiness, and submission to him. Sword after sword, it was like layers of huge waves coming at him. Slowly there were one or two moves that he could not defend against due to carelessness. Bloodstains gradually began to appear on Kakashi's arms, face, thighs, and other places. Kakashi felt as if he had fallen into a pitch-black and cold quagmire. Every movement he made was met with great resistance. Finally, lightning escape, ground run. Kakashi made a hand seal and pressed his palm on the ground. Lightning that was visible to the naked eye ran across the ground, and Nangongjia was also forced to jump away. Nangongjia stood still and sheathed his black sword behind his back. He looked at Kakashi calmly. Sensing Nangongjia's gaze, Kakashi slowly stood up and sheathed his dagger. Did you see that? I told you Kakashi wouldn't lose. This guy is definitely... Before Obito finished speaking, Kakashi knelt on one knee and said, I've lost. Your Excellency's sword Dao is indeed very powerful. Of all the people I've met, only my father has reached such a state of mind. I apologize for provoking your Excellency. Looking at Kakashi's performance, Obito was speechless. He knew Kakashi's arrogance the best, but such an arrogant person actually knelt down and apologized to another person? And he said that his father, White Fang, was the only one who could compare to him? Clap, clap, clap. Suddenly there was a burst of applause. In a burst of smoke, a person wearing a haori and a bamboo hat with a big 3 written on it came out. 3 generations Sama, 3 generations Sama, 3 generations Sama. When the onlookers saw this person, they all knelt on one knee to show respect. Oh, everyone get up. This is the village, there are no outsiders here, so save these formalities. Yuan Fei, Sasuke, and 3 generations showed a gentle smile and motioned everyone to get up. Nangongjun. You don't mind me calling you that, do you? Hearing the words of 3 generations, Nangongjia, one of the 2 who didn't kneel, nodded slightly to show agreement. Woodleaf Village has been established for a long time. It's famous. Many people say that it's because Woodleaf has powerful ninjutsu, there are generations of talents, and the full support of the Land of Fire. These are indeed the advantages of woodleaf, but woodleaf is not limited to this. Woodleaf is a tree and everyone who lives here is a leaf of the tree. The leaves will grow old and fall off. They will also sprout and be reborn. Everyone's life is like a leaf. They burn themselves for the woodleaf, illuminating the future of woodleaf. This is the will of fire of woodleaf. As long as there are leaves flying, the fire will burn. The shadow of the fire will illuminate the village and make new leaves sprout. When you want to protect the people you cherish, the true power of a ninja will be revealed. Welcome to woodleaf. 3 generations slowly stretched out his hand in front of Nangongja. I'm just a very young person, maybe I have some talent in swordsmanship, but I know it's not enough. I don't have a big goal, I just want to protect my sister and let her live happily, instead of being afraid that one day, someone will suddenly barge into your home and take your life. This is why I joined woodleaf. 3 generations Sama's words, I don't understand it very well, but I'm willing to join woodleaf and explore with my own eyes, to find out what the will of woodleaf is all about. If this village is worthy of love, then I'm willing to turn into a flame to light up the road ahead. Nangongja stretched out his hand and held 3 generations' big hand. 3 generations smiled but didn't say anything. He turned to Kakashi. Kakashi, I'll leave Nangong-jun to your Hatake family, after all he was recommended by your family. Yes, 3 generations Sama. Kakashi bowed to show that he understood. Then 3 generations Sama, my sister and I will go first. Nangongja said while holding Nangong-ro's small hand and walked behind Kakashi, following Kakashi to the Hatake family's residence. Goodbye, Grandpa. Nangong-ro waved her small hand and said with a smile. Goodbye, adorable little girl. 3 generations said to Nangong-ro with a smile as he took out a tobacco pipe from somewhere and took a small puff. When Nangongja, Nangong-ro and Kakashi's figures gradually disappeared, 3 generations turned to Watergate and said, Nangongja is a rare genius in swordsmanship. He cultivates a secret technique called internal strength that was once popular in the world. It is a blessing that he can rely on woodleaf. I'll have to trouble you, Watergate, to take care of the siblings. Yes, 3 generations Sama. I understand. Then I'll go home first. After all, Shinakushina is... Go. Your mission has been delayed for so long, and little Chili has been causing trouble for me. You'd better pray for yourself. Before he finished speaking, 3 generations disappeared, leaving only Watergate muttering to himself. Nangong-ha. That's an ancient surname. Now is not the time to think about this. Shinakushina is still waiting for me. Then Watergate's figure disappeared in a flash. Chapter 8. He calmly followed behind Kakashi, holding his sister's hand and looking at the surrounding scenery. There were smiling adults, playing children and slowly strolling ninjas. Is this woodleaf? It's really peaceful. Nangongja said softly with his hands behind his head. Of course, the Land of Fire is the most fertile land in the ninja world, and woodleaf is the military center of the Land of Fire. The 8 colors of Konoha, the Sannin of Konoha, the Uchiha clan, the Hyuga clan, the Inoshikacho clan, and the first dame known as the God of Shinobi, and the third dame known as the Ninjutsu Professor. Imbi said that this is the safest place in the ninja world. Kakashi thought that Nangongja wasn't familiar with woodleaf, so he slowly explained. Kakashi. I still have this common sense, okay? But superiority is always envied. Woodleaf has had a lot of friction with the other 4 major ninja villages and other small ninja villages over the years. To protect this peace we have to pay a high price. Nangongja smiled slightly and continued Kakashi's words. Seeing that Nangongja was so familiar with the current situation, there was no need to say anything more. Looking up, the gate of Hatake clan's residence was faintly visible. Although it wasn't as exaggerated as Uchiha directly occupying woodleaf, Hatake clan's residence was indeed not small. Nangong-san. This is Hatake clan's residence. Well, thank you for leading the way. Also, don't keep calling me sir. Although I know you respect me, there's no need to be so serious. After all, we are of the same age. You can call me Nangong or Jia. Alright then. Nangong-jun, I'll take you to see my father. It just so happens that my father is resting after completing his mission. Since you were recommended by our clan's elders, we should also arrange for Nangong-jun and his sister's food and lodging. After all, you are not familiar with the woodleaf. Alright, then I'll have to trouble you. It's nothing. It's my duty. He brought Nangongja and his sister to the door of the largest room. When he opened the door, an ordinary-looking middle-aged man was sitting quietly on the tatami with his eyes closed. Father, I've brought Nangongja and Nangong-ro to visit you. Tsukumo's closed eyes slightly opened and a sharp aura swept out. Are you the people recommended by my uncle? Give me your recommendation letter. Was this another test? Looking at his sister and Kakashi next to him, Nangongja understood what was going on. Tsukumo's aura at this time was directed at Nangongja alone. That powerful momentum suppressed Nangongja, making him almost unable to move. Nangongja could only recall the feeling he had when he fought against Kakashi, using the Sacrificial Heart Sutra against Tsukumo's powerful momentum. At this time, Nangongja was like a sword, being tempered and polished under Tsukumo's pressure. He was becoming more and more proficient in the heart sacrifice technique. Slowly, Nangongja was able to stand up. Drops of sweat oozed out of Nangongja's forehead, and the blue veins on his temples and neck slightly protruded. All of this proved that Nangongja was facing a powerful force at this moment. Oni-san, looking at Nangongja's state at this moment, Nangong-ro was worried, and wanted to get up to see what happened to Nangongja. But he was stopped by Kakashi who was next to him. "It's okay, father is just testing Nangong-jun." This is beneficial for Nangong-jun. Hearing Kakashi's explanation, Nangong-ro slowly sat down, but the worry in her eyes still lingered. 1 step, 2 steps, it was only a distance of 4 or 5 steps, but every time Nangongja lifted his foot and every time he landed, the pressure he received was indeed increasing. Originally he was just barely coping, but under the increasing pressure, Nangongja was almost powerless and was about to fall. At this time, the black sword on Nangongja's back vibrated slightly, and the will of the sword slowly poured into Nangongja's body. "Ah!" Nangongja shouted. His voice was obviously very soft, but it seemed to be deafening. His whole body's muscles trembled, his body's internal force was boiling, and his bones were colliding. It was as if there were tigers and leopards living inside his body, roaring. Tiger, leopard, thunder, bone resonance? This kid. Looking at Nangongja's current state, Tsukumo couldn't help but be slightly surprised. Tiger, leopard, thunder, bone resonance. This is a realm that can only be achieved by a very high degree of development of the human body. Generally, only jonins who specialize in taijutsu can achieve this. But Tsukumo has only seen one such person, Mike Dai. This is the secret jutsu internal force? I didn't expect that it could make a teenager reach the level of a jonin taijutsu ninja. Nangongja finally walked in front of Tsukumo, and handed the 2 envelopes in his hand to him. At the same time, Tsukumo also withdrew his momentum, and the huge pressure suddenly disappeared, and Nangongja instantly fell to the ground unconscious. Kakashi, take Nangong-jun to rest. Yes. Kakashi and Nangong-ro, whose eyes were full of tears, took Nangongja out. At the same time, Tsukumo opened another thick letter written by Hataki. After reading it once, Tsukumo seemed to want to confirm it, so he read it again and read the 20-page letter over and over again 4 times. "Uncle? This kid actually has such a high evaluation from Uncle? His talent and temperament are all top grade, and his creativity and breakthrough are unprecedented. He's the one who will lead the Hataki family to prosperity? The last person who received such an evaluation from Uncle seems to be me, right? No, even I didn't get such an evaluation from Uncle. After all, when Uncle saw my talent, he taught me the Hataki family swordsmanship. And this Nangongji, Uncle actually thinks that teaching him Hataki swordsmanship is a disgrace to his talent? Nangongja, where did you come from? What is your identity? This talent, this temperament is not something an orphan can have. But fortunately, Uncle's time is limited and he can't carve this unpolished jade, but I just happen to need a long rest. Let me see how incredible you are. Let's see if you live up to Uncle's final evaluation of swordsmanship miracle. With a raise of his hand, a flame was emitted, and the letter was instantly turned into ashes. Tsukumo turned around and looked at the white fang behind him. He gently pulled out the blade and the white fang was reflected in his eyes. Tsukumo just looked at it quietly. Chapter 9. When Nangongja woke up, it was almost dusk. Kakashi had already left and he didn't know where he went. Only Nangong-ro was still kneeling in front of Nangongja's pillow. Ro. I've been exhausted by all kinds of things these days, and I haven't been able to talk to you properly. I'm sorry. Oni-san, why did you call me such a strange nickname again? Looking at his sister's smile, Nangongja's discomfort from being overloaded seemed to lessen a little. He stretched out his hand and touched his sister's head and said, "We finally arrived at Woodleaf Village, and became an official villager. After that, Oni-san will apply to be a ninja and earn a lot of money so that we don't have to live a hard life. Oni-san, are you going to be a ninja? Nangong-ro was surprised. I thought we came to Woodleaf Village just to become an official villager. Why do you want to be a ninja? Ro, sometimes we have no choice. Even if I don't want to be a ninja, the 3 generations, White Fang, Kakashi, and even Uncle Hatake in 12 towns will force me to be a ninja. In order to quell the rumors, I had a fight with Kakashi at the gate of Woodleaf Village. I didn't know how strong Kakashi is, but after entering the village I have been observing the younger people wearing the forehead protector. Their strength is far less than Kakashi's, which proves that Kakashi is not only a genin, but also a chunin. The fact that I broke through and defeated Kakashi may have been spread by the onlookers. This is one of the reasons to force me. At the end of the duel with Kakashi, I really didn't expect that Sandaime Hokage would appear. This hero of the shinobi world is not only a benevolent and magnanimous middle-aged man, but his decisive character is well known throughout the shinobi world. However, such a person at the gate of Woodleaf Village gave me an inspiring speech about the will of fire. On the one hand, he bribed the onlookers, but the words were also for me to hear. He hoped that I can contribute my talent to Woodleaf and become a flame that can burn for Woodleaf. This is the second reason. Finally, we came to Hataki's house. At the very beginning, I was wondering why Uncle Chimu would recommend us to the academy. No matter how pitiful we are, no matter how good our relationship with him, he didn't need to waste the family's quota to recommend us. At the gate of Woodleaf Village's Hataki's house, Hataki's attitude. When we arrived at Hataki House's house, I finally understood. Here there are targets for practicing kenjutsu everywhere. When people pass by on the street and see Kakashi, they are basically talking about how strong Hataki's kenjutsu is. But to be honest, Kakashi's strength hasn't reached the peak that everyone praises. I originally thought that Kakashi was too young and didn't learn enough. But when I arrived at Hataki's house, I saw that everyone, no matter men or women, old or young, high or low in strength, their kenjutsu aura is too thin. This proves that there is a problem. There is no one to inherit Hataki's kenjutsu. When Uncle Hatake explained to me why he recommended me, he also mentioned that my talent for kenjutsu is extremely important. Although kenjutsu and kenjutsu are different, they still have something in common. Uncle Hatake's recommendation is a favor. If I succeed, I will naturally help Hatake's kenjutsu. Originally, this idea was just a fantasy and it was a bit excessive. But when I came here, Hatake Sakumo and Woodleaf Village's White Fang personally received me and tested my root bone. This is even more proof of this point. This is the third reason. They have a total of 3 reasons to make me a strong ninja, so how can I escape? Looking at Nangong's speech, Nangong-ro was in a trance. Oni-san, is he so smart? I can't see it usually. Hey, what are you talking about? I've always been very smart, okay? It's just that I don't want to show my cleverness to you. This kind of scheming is for the enemy, not for the lover. Lover? Nangong-ro's face suddenly turned red. No. Looking at Nangong-ro's abnormal appearance, Nangongja was stunned and didn't know what happened. Ro, what's wrong with you? Why are you suddenly like this? Nangong-ro suddenly calmed down, and her eyes stared at Nangongja's face, with a look of displeasure. Stare? Hey, don't be like this, I'm so nervous. Nangong-ro directly punched Nangongja's head, and then lay on Nangongja's chest and whispered, Oni-san is stupid. Ninja can only kill or be killed. I don't want Oni-san to get hurt, I don't want Oni-san to bleed, and I don't want Oni-san to die. Quietly listening to his sister's monologue, Nangongja stretched out his arms and hugged his sister's body. It's okay, don't forget, Oni-san is very strong. Oni-san's only goal in life is to protect my Ro. But it's not enough now, it's really not enough. We came to Woodleaf and we saw the famous ninja in the world. This is an opportunity. An opportunity to become stronger. Don't worry, I will live, and I will live a better life than anyone else. Oh, I know Oni-san's determination. Oni-san, I want to go to ninja school. I want to be a ninja and then I can accompany Oni-san to face the whole world. This morning I saw Oni-san fighting alone, and when we arrived at Hatake family, I saw Oni-san face a strong person like White Fang. I've had enough. I want to become stronger. I want, one day I can also protect Oni-san. Well, I know. How can Oni-san lose to others? If you want to go, then go. Oni-san. I can't practice internal strength, but I have memorized a lot of family secrets. Today, when I saw Oni-san break through in front of Woodleaf Gate, I remembered a saying I once read, Sacrifice Heart Sutra. Thus, while Big Brother was sleeping, I copied down the only sword technique that I could remember, the Sacrificial Heart Sutra. I'll go get it for Oni-san. Okay, thank you for your hard work, Ro. It's nothing, I hope I can help Oni-san a little. So Nangong Ro got up, opened the door and went out. Sacrifice Heart Sutra, swordsmanship. No matter what you hide, you are my sister. I will protect you. It doesn't matter how much I pay. Chapter 10. Not long after, Nangong Ro came in with a thick stack of paper. The ink was still wet. Brother. Here? Nangongja took the sword manual and skimmed through it. This sword technique? Nangongja's face didn't look too good. What's wrong, brother? Did you miss something? Why is your face so pale? Nangongja shook his head. No, the sword technique is still very complete. But, this is a killing sword technique. It has too much killing intent. It's fine if you meet an opponent whose sword technique is lower than yours, but if you meet someone whose sword technique is on par with yours, or someone whose sword technique is higher than yours, you won't even have a chance to fight back. This sword technique is too extreme, too ruthless. The deadly 13 swords. Hearing Nangongja's evaluation, Nangong Ro finally understood what her brother was worried about. It won't, brother. This sword technique doesn't only have 13 swords. There is a continuation after that, but according to the family's records, only those who have reached the heart sacrifice realm can practice it, so the 14 swords that can't be recorded and can only be experienced were lost. With brother's talent in swordsmanship, there is still a high chance that you can deduce the 14th sword or even more. I can also feel the continuation, but it will be a very long process. Fine. I can't let my sister down. Don't worry, I will deduce the 14th sword as soon as possible. I also have a feeling that this sword technique won't stop at 14 swords. Then I'll wait and see. Well, it's already night time. Do you want to go to the Woodleaf night market or something? Okay. Let's go shopping together. It should be fun. As long as you're happy, you can spend my money today. You say it as if brother has money himself, but isn't all your money with me? Alright. I admit defeat. Please take care of me, sister. That's right, let's go. Let me take you out. Looking at his sister's appearance, Nangongja reached out his hand and rubbed her head a few times, then he got up and said, let's go. Woodleaf had a special area with various shops and restaurants. This was the destination of Nangong and his sister. The little girl went crazy in this place. The entire night sky seemed to echo with Nangong Ro's laughter. This kind of life. Isn't it pretty good? Nangongja stood still and let out a sigh. At this moment, Nangong Ro walked over and grabbed Nangongja's hand. Big brother, what are you doing? There's goldfish fishing there. Let's go play together, okay? Okay. Let's go. Then the goldfish boss watched as Nangongja scooped up half of the goldfish in the pool. In the end, his sister found something fun and pulled Nangongja away. This matter finally came to an end. Carrying their spoils of war, Nangong and his sister returned to the Hataki family's residence. They each went to their own room and rested. The next morning, accompanied by the sound of a long sword tearing through the air, Nangong Ro rubbed her sleepy eyes and opened the door to see Nangongja practicing swords in the small courtyard. The Hataki family was really good to Nangong and his sister. Originally, Nangongja thought that he and his sister would at most be arranged to live in an apartment. In the end, the Hataki family directly gave a large courtyard to Nangong and his sister. Sure enough, they were rich and powerful. Unlike in 12 towns, almost everyone in the Woodleaf village was a martial artist, so Nangongja could practice his swordsmanship wantonly. Therefore, this scene in the morning was created. Brother, are you practicing fatal 13 swords? Looking at Nangongja's swordsmanship, his sister raised her doubts. Yes. This swordsmanship is really exquisite. There are 13 moves, but each move has at least 9 variations, so there are hundreds of combinations. I was really itching to practice, so I started practicing as soon as I woke up in the morning. Why did I disturb you? No, I can see brother practicing swordsmanship in the morning. It feels very warm. Is that so? That's good. Well, brother, you practice first, I'll prepare breakfast. Good. By the way, I want to say hello to Sakumo-san this morning. You can go to the Ninja Academy to study. In a while, I'll send you to school, and then I'll go to the Ninja Certification Agency to register as a ninja. Big brother, we made a promise last night. You have to stay alive. Don't worry, brother will never leave you alone. Nangong Ro didn't say anything, she just looked at Nangongja standing in the yard, then turned and went to the kitchen to get busy. Seeing his sister leave, Nangongja also started practicing swordsmanship again. Breakfast was soon ready, and the Hataki family prepared a lot of daily necessities and ingredients for Nangong and his sister. As a result, Nangongja and his sister had a very rich breakfast, and when they went out they all had round bellies. Holding his sister's hand, they finally went to the ninja academy. After going through the relevant procedures, Nangongja also turned and went to the ninja certification agency. This agency was in the Hokage office building. When he opened the door, Nangongja was stunned, because Hataki uncle, Tsukumo, and Sandame were sitting in a row of benches, looking at Nangongja. Wow! What a big scene, I didn't expect so many people to come. Sandame smiled. This time, the foreign villager Nangongja's ninja certification will be carried out by me, White Fang, and Makoto Hataki. Generally speaking, Konoha doesn't allow people like you who don't know much about their background to join Konoha. But this time, Nangongja officially joined the Woodleaf with Hataki Tsukumo and Woodleaf Tokubetsu Jonin Makoto Hataki as guarantors. Nangongjun, in fact, with your intelligence you should know what the Hataki family and I are planning. It is indeed a wise decision for you to take the initiative to apply for certification. Nangongja stiffly pulled the corner of his mouth. Weren't these words a little too straightforward? However, considering that he was just a nobody, he didn't have much emotional fluctuation. As soon as Sandame-sama finished his words, Hataki Makoto, who was also Uncle Hataki of 12 Towns, stood up and started to read a document. It was the investigation of Nangongja by the Woodleaf Umbu and Makoto Hataki. All kinds of official words were nothing new. In general, although Nangongja's background was hidden, the Woodleaf was willing to accept Nangongja and his sister to join the Woodleaf and grant Nangongja a Chunin identity. Then Nangongja stepped forward to sign, received the ninja headband and the Chunin vest and went out. Only the third-generation head and the two people from the Hataki clan were left talking about something. Chapter 11. Out of the door of the Hokage office building, Nangongja's heart did not have any excessive fluctuations. He just slowly walked to the door of a clothing store on the shopping street. When he went out with his sister last night he saw this store and his sister pulled Nangongja in. She said, "You are going to be a ninja, how can you wear such rough clothes like now?" Unable to refuse his sister's kindness, Nangongja went in to measure the size and paid some deposit. The store owner said that the clothes would be ready the next day. Nangongja thought that since his sister was in the ninja academy, he would take it with him. When he opened the door of the clothing store, a girl greeted him, and when she saw Nangongja, she recognized him for a moment. "Ah, you're here but you may have to wait for a while. You're a bit early, child, wait for a while." It's okay, I'm going to register as a ninja today so I'll come and take a look." Register as a ninja? Are you a ninja from outside the village? It's already past the time to graduate from the ninja academy. Yes, it was quite fierce in front of the Woodleaf gate. Ah, are you the boy from 12 Towns who can compete with the genius ninja Kakashi? I think his name is Nangongja. Ah yes, Nangongja. My name is Sato. In fact, Nangongja wasn't someone who was easy to talk to. However, the girl in front of him, her pink hair and cheerful voice had unknowingly infected Nangongja. Thus, the two of them slowly began to chat. "Sato, don't be so polite, just call me Sato." Nangongja, who was about to say something, saw Sato's face and could only quickly change his words. "Oh, Sato. I see that you and I are about the same age. Sato is also a ninja?" "That's right. I'm not a ninja because my family doesn't agree with me being a ninja, so I've been helping at home." "That's good, ninja's profession is too risky. In fact, there were ninjas in our family before, but they didn't achieve much, and then they opened a clothing store in Konoha. It's barely enough to make a living. When I was in 12 Towns I also helped out at the blacksmith shop, so I know a lot about what life is like." "I thought you were a ninja family, otherwise how can you be so powerful?" "Ha!" Nangongja smiled gently, but the bitterness and vicissitudes of life in his eyes were something that even Yachue could understand. "I'm sorry. I said. It's okay, it's all. In fact, the days there were days was. By the way, do you still remember the girl who came with me yesterday?" "Why? Is she your girlfriend?" Sato make maid Sato. "How could that be, that's my sister. Yesterday she insisted on making a new dress for me before she came here. I was wondering if I should make a dress for her too, so I wanted to ask if you still remember her size." "Ah, so it's Sister-chan?" Hey, that's a strange way to address me. Hee, clothes for your sister's age are quite easy to make. I looked at it yesterday and remember the size. You can see the style later and I can make it. Well, but I don't have enough money for the time being, so I can't pay the full amount. I'll give you a deposit first, and then I'll come back to get the clothes after I finish the task. No problem, it can be like that. A woman's voice came from the back hall. Sato, the clothes are ready, let the guest try it. Okay, I know, Mom. Sato turned to look at Nangongja. It seems that your clothes are ready, I'll go get it for you. She didn't wait for Nangongja's response and turned to leave. A moment later, a tray with a few clothes and a pair of shoes was brought out by Sato. Here are your clothes, go try them on. The shoes are a gift from me. Is it that good? Nangongja smiled and went to get the clothes without saying anything. After a series of rustling sounds, Nangongja came out wearing the new clothes. It was a black robe with a red lining, and there were some gold embroidered patterns on the hem, cuffs, and lapels of the robe. The left arm of the robe was a mid-sleeve, which could be fitted with Nangongja's gauntlet. Inside the robe was a standard ninja undergarment with steel wires, a pair of cropped pants and a pair of tall ninja boots. Nangongja rubbed his long hair and looked at Sato. How is it? This close. Sato was a little distracted, so Nangongja asked again. Sato finally reacted. Well, it's pretty good, pretty good. Your sister has good taste, she picked a style that suits you. Hee. When it came to his sister, Nangongja had a silly look on his face. Seeing this scene, Sato couldn't help but say, Damn Siscon. Nangongja had a constipated look on his face. So, I can't escape this title? Hee. In exchange, Sato just chuckled. After that, Nangongja awkwardly picked a Cheongsam-like ninja outfit for his sister under Sato's disdain. After paying the rest and the deposit, Nangongja was ready to go out. Going to pick up your sister? Damn Siscon. Look, although I want to refute you, I really have to go pick up my sister. The ninja school wasn't a school with full-day classes. Basically, there were only classes in the morning, and the afternoon was reserved for self-study and self-training. After all, there were many families in the Woodleaf region that had their own secret techniques. That was the foundation of the family's children, and the ninja school couldn't teach that. The morning of ninja registration and picking up clothes from the ready-made clothing store passed quickly. Remember to come and chat with me when you have time? Working in a ready-made clothing store is super boring. Okay. I got it. I'll bring my sister when I'm free. You said you're not a Siscon, but you're a Siscon to your bones. Nangongja didn't know what to say after being ridiculed like this, so he could only walk out of the store slowly. Seeing Nangongja's embarrassed look, Sato chuckled and went back to the store to get busy. Standing in front of the ninja school's gate, Nangongja looked at the parents waiting for their children, and he felt slightly uncomfortable. Parents? What do my parents look like? Nangongja had a lot of vague memories, including his childhood and parents. They were vague, like looking at flowers in a fog, and he couldn't see them clearly at all. Oniai-san. A voice rang out, pulling Nangongja back to reality. Nangong-ro was running towards Nangongja. Nangongja also opened his arms and gently caught Nangong-ro. Let's go, Ro. Let's go home. Okay, let's go home. Chapter 12. Seeing that he had used up a lot of his savings from 12 towns, Nangongja decided to take on missions to earn some money. Ninja missions are generally divided into 5 levels: D, C, B, A, and S. D-level missions are generally some miscellaneous jobs, so there's no need to talk about it. C-level missions will involve some opponents like bandits, usually a mutual mission or bandit suppression mission. B-level missions will involve ninjas, usually Genin and Chunin level ninjas. A-level missions will give special Jonins and Jonins a chance to appear. As for S-level missions, they are basically war missions, involving the survival of a country or a village with far-reaching effects. Many Jonins, Quasi-Kage, and Kage-level powerhouses will participate. Nangongja's goal is a C-level mission, because Nangongja's current means to fight against ninjas are still slightly lacking. Ordinary ninjas are okay, he can make up for the lack of long-range attacks with his advantage of speed and superb swordsmanship. But once it involves Chunin and Jonin, although he has a chance to win, he will inevitably have to pay a certain price. So, for the sake of stability, Nangongja is going to pick a C-level mission to test the waters. Walking to the Woodleaf Mission Hall, ninjas in strange clothes are busy receiving or handing in missions. Nangongja queued for a long time and finally reached the counter. Looking down, he saw Tanaka Kuin, Watergate's classmate, at the entrance of the village. When Tanaka-kun saw Nangongja, he was also stunned, but then he reacted. He asked in a formulaic way, "Name?" "Nangongja." "Level?" "Chunin." "Chunin?" When Nangongja said that, Tanaka-kun was also shocked and couldn't help but exclaim. A 12-year-old Chunin, for most ninjas, is a genius level. The ninjas in the hall also turned to look at Nangongja with a curious face. Some of them might have seen the battle between Nangongja and Kakashi at the entrance of the village, so they started to explain it to those who did not know. Well, Nangongja could be considered to be very famous now. Sorry. I lost my composure. It's nothing. Do I have a lot of tolerance at my age? Generally speaking, people who become Chunin are 20 years old or even older. Many people have limited aptitude and can only stop here for the rest of their lives. The minimum requirement to become a Jonin is to have the strength of a Chunin before the age of 18. As for you, it's not impossible to become a Chunin at the age of 12. Take the White Fang's son, Hatake Kakashi, for example. He was a genius Chunin at the age of 6. I heard that he's almost at the threshold of Jonin. This is also the reason why you were the center of attention after your battle with him. Seeing Tanaka taking care of him and explaining so many things to him, Nangongja thanked him. Thank you, Tanaka-senpai. If you didn't tell me this, I'm afraid I'd still be confused. Let's get down to business. Can you find a suitable task for me first? Well, with your strength, you can actually take a B-level task, but considering that you just became a ninja, I suggest you take a C-level task to test the water. Tanaka-senpai and I have the same idea. But do you know the most important reason? This? Your strength is indeed close to the level of a Jonin, but you have a fatal flaw. Please say. You haven't had blood on your hands. For us ninjas, it's easy to judge whether a person has killed or not. When you take the task and face the enemy doesn't care whether you have killed or not. Meeting on a narrow road is just a matter of life and death. So you need to kill people, you need to accumulate experience of fighting with people. These are more important to you now than practicing swordsmanship or chakra. So you'd better take a bandit-type task. It's a good way to hone yourself. Hearing Tanaka-senpai's words, Nangongja froze in place. What Tanaka-senpai said is actually not wrong at all. He's now engaged in a simple profession. He doesn't care about killing or being killed. If he wants to live, if he wants to become stronger, it's inevitable to kill not just one or two but a lot of people. Until he's covered in blood, killing mountains of corpses and seas of bones, he can become a strong person in the true sense. This is the reality. The reality that every ninja has to face. After a long time, Nangongja bent down and bowed heavily to Tanaka-senpai. Seeing Nangongja's reaction, Tanaka-senpai was also satisfied. Nangongjun, you don't have to do this. You just joined with Leaf and there are a lot of things you don't know about ninja. You don't have a formal teacher to teach you. I'm a few years older than you and it's good that I can help you. If you have any difficulties you can come to me. Although I don't have much ability, I will try my best to help. Thank you, Tanaka-senpai. After flipping through the thick task book, he finally found a suitable bandit task. Wood Leaf Village's 19th town, northeast of town, there are bandits entrenched in Lion Mountain, causing trouble in the surrounding area. Wood Leaf Village officials issued a task, asking ninjas to go and suppress the bandits. There are more than 40 bandits. This strength and number are just right for Nangongja. With the help of Tanaka-senpai, Nangongja accepted the task. After going home to pack his luggage and explain to his sister, Nangongja was ready to go to Lion Mountain to complete the bandit suppression task. Oni-san, be careful on the road. I've made some rations for you and put them in your luggage. I've also brought some clothes for you to change into. I've also cleaned your sword for you and... The little girl seemed to want to say something but she choked as she spoke and it seemed like she was about to cry. Nangongja could only go forward and hug his sister, comforting her. I know that Oni-san went out this time to get rid of evil for the people, to eliminate those bandits. But, even if those bandits had committed crimes, killing them like this would only bring some vengeful souls to us. I really don't want Oni-san to kill people. Nangongro was born with a kind heart. She never wanted to kill or be killed to happen to the people around her. She gave Nangongja the sword manual in the hope that Nangongja would have some ability to protect himself. Ro, listen to me. Nangongro looked up with a few tears in her eyes. You always told me to be a benevolent and righteous person like Grandpa. I've listened to you and I will do it. But there are always some unrepentant people in this world. Killing bandits is saving people, punishing evil is promoting kindness. Onie-san promises you that I will only kill those who deserve to be killed. Chapter 13. 19 Town was a village under Woodleaf. It wasn't far from Woodleaf Village. Nangongja arrived in half a day on foot. On the way, Nangongja also encountered a few robbers who didn't know their place. He took care of them all with his sword. When he arrived at 19 Town, it was noon. It was time for the residents to have lunch. This should be the busiest time, but 19 Town looked very desolate. There were no signs of people. The doors of the shops were basically closed. The doors of the ordinary residents' houses were also closed. Nangongja knew that this might have something to do with the Lion Mountain bandits. He didn't think too much about it. He went straight to the 19 Town's administrative center. He was going to meet the management of 19 Town to understand the specific situation. At the entrance of the administrative center, Nangongja heard bursts of children crying and women begging for mercy. It seems that the situation isn't as good as I thought. He slowly reached his hand behind his back and pulled out the black sword. With the strength of his ankle, Nangongja jumped onto a relatively tall tree in the courtyard of the administrative center. He saw the situation inside the administrative center from the tree. Children were tied up with their hands and feet forced to one corner of the room. They were crying. A few women in ragged clothes were kneeling on the ground in the middle of the hall. They didn't care about their clothes and begged. A few strong men walked toward the women with a murderous aura. They were shouting something in their mouths. In the end, the women seemed to have given up resisting. Their bodies went soft and collapsed on the ground. There were still tears in the corners of their eyes. A few strong men walked toward the women with obscene smiles. They took off their clothes as they walked. Seeing such a scene, Nangongja naturally guessed what had happened. First, he still had to save the hostages. Nangongja fiercely hit the tree trunk. His whole body shot toward the window like an arrow. Accompanied by the sound of glass breaking, Nangongja landed on the ground. He stood right between the strong men and the women. Ninja! Ninja! The Woodleaf ninjas are here! The leader exclaimed as he pointed at the forehead protector around Nangongja's neck. The other big men were also a little flustered, but when they saw that Nangongja was very young, they slowly calmed down. He raised his weapon and rushed towards Nangongja. You're just a kid. Watch us take care of you. The leader slashed his saber at Nangongja. Nangongja raised his left arm and used his gauntlet to knock the man's blade askew. His black sword followed up with a series of stabs. In the blink of an eye, the leader's arms and legs were crippled. He wailed and struggled on the ground. Without waiting for the other men to react, Nangongja rushed forward and left a sword mark on their throats, causing them to bleed. All of you deserve to die. Nangongja's expression was extremely fierce. He felt a sharp pain in his head, as if something had been stimulated and was about to rush out. Speaking of which, all of this happened in just a few seconds. By the time the stunned women reacted, Nangongja had already untied the rope that bound the children. Seeing that the women had regained their senses, Nangongja walked over with his black sword. The black sword that was still dripping with blood seemed to have frightened the women. Nangongja swung the black sword to get rid of the blood, and then sheathed the black sword. Alright, it's okay. I'm Nangongja Woodleaf Chunin. Can you tell me what happened here? Nangongja's question was like an explosive. The women immediately hugged each other and started crying. After a long time, an older woman finally calmed down and walked towards Nangongja. I'm sorry, Ninja-sama. We lost our composure. It's okay. After I came here, I understood that something bad must have happened here. It's understandable that you have some ups and downs. Ninja-sama, you must have seen the bandit suppression mission issued by our town 3 days ago. That's why you came to 19th Town, right? Yes, this mission was indeed issued in the Ninja Hall 3 days ago. This town was captured by the bandits of Lion Mountain 2 days ago. They also kidnapped all the people in the town to Lion Mountain. I don't know what they want to do. The woman wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and said sadly. Every town has its own self-defense force. Although they are civilians, they shouldn't have fallen so quickly. Could it be? Nangongja suddenly had an unusual idea in his mind. Lion Mountain is not just an ordinary bandit. There are ninjas in it. The woman then answered Nangongja's doubts. Ninjas. Ordinary self-defense forces can't stop them. Nangongja turned his head and looked at the muscular leader who had his tendons cut by him. He pulled out his black sword and pointed it at the muscular man. Tell me. What's going on? Nangongja wanted to keep the muscular man as a mouthpiece. It seemed that everything that happened in Lion Mountain had to be extracted from this muscular man's mouth. Please, Ninja-sama, don't kill me. The muscular man wailed. That depends on the value of your contribution. Nangongja looked at the brawny man with an emotionless expression on his face. It was this expression that provoked the muscular man even more. Yes, Ninja-sama. Our village did have a wandering ninja 2 days ago. That ninja helped us kill the town manager and several important leaders of the self-defense forces. Then we took advantage of the chaos to capture the town. Please don't kill me. I've told you everything I know. Nangongja pushed the black sword in his hand, and the black sword immediately went through the man's head. How can you not die? This sentence seemed to be asking the muscular man, but it also seemed to be asking himself. He looked back at the older woman. What about you? How did you survive until now when the town was captured? We took the children to the shelter in the town under the cover of the self-defense forces. We were just caught and brought here. You've suffered a lot. Then Nangongja took off his backpack. He took out the dry food and water inside and handed it to the woman. You must have been scared for a long time. You and the children can share the dry food and water first. Several bandits blocking the way from Woodleaf to here have been cleaned up when I came here. If you want, you can go to Woodleaf to seek shelter first. Thank you, Ninja-sama. It's nothing. I'll take you out of 19 towns first, and then I'll go to Lion Mountain to investigate. I'll eliminate the bandits as soon as possible and release the kidnapped people so that you can go home smoothly. The women went to Nangongja and thanked him. Then they quickly ran to their children and comforted them. After a while, the women left 19 towns with the children accompanied by Nangongja and walked in the direction of Woodleaf. Nangongja saw that the women and children were not in danger for the time being, then turned and ran in the direction of Lion Mountain. Chapter 14. 1. 3. There are 5 guards at the gate of the village and 3 hidden posts have been found with 2 guards on each post. A total of 11 people. According to the information, there are at least 30 people in this village, and there is a foreign ninja. These bandits took away most of the residents from the 19th town. The number of residents is at least 300. The size of the village can't accommodate so many people at the same time. These bandits mainly captured young people when they took people, so there must be some use. I can't see it on the ground, so it can only be underground. The biggest possibility is that they want to build an underground fortress. Why would an ordinary wandering ninja want to build an underground fortress? There is only one possibility: this wandering ninja is not an ordinary wandering ninja. Infiltrators from other ninja villages? The underground fortress is a nail inserted around the wood leaf. For war? While exploring the village, Nangongja began to organize his thoughts. Finally he came to a terrible conclusion. This is a deliberate war fortress. If this is really a secret fortress built for war, then the ninja who presided over the construction will definitely not be ordinary, at least the strength of a jonin. Then my first task now is to spread the news. No, if this is really a fortress prepared for war, then it's too hasty. The manager of the 19th town has applied to the Woodleaf for a bandit suppression operation, so this place will be exposed. Then what's the point of building here? Nangongja didn't act immediately, but began to think deeply. Unless this is just a cover or a place to provide cover for other war fortresses. In order to attract the attention of the Woodleaf ninja so that other more hidden fortresses can be built? In any case, I need to go in and explore to find the real reason. But before that, Nangongja put down his backpack and took out a scroll. I didn't think that the SOS scroll that Kakashi prepared for me before I started the mission would be used in this kind of situation. That's right. Kakashi had given Nangongja a channeling scroll before Nangongja carried out his mission. It was originally used to release a distress signal, but Nangongja thought that this scroll was also an important way to transmit information, so Nangongja decided to use it. He forcefully pulled the scroll and a cloud of smoke rose up. A figure slowly emerged from the scroll. "Excuse me, did you summon me to ask for help? Dog?" The dog with the forehead protector came out of the smoke and looked at Nangongja mockingly. Taunted by a dog? No, I'm communicating with you to pass on some information. There are some unusual places in this mountain stronghold. I hope you can pass on this information to the Hataki family. After that, Nangongja explained his speculations to the psychic dog. If that's really the case, then I really need to pass on the information as soon as possible. But, don't act rashly and expose yourself. I know I won't do it unless it's a special situation. That's good, then I'll be leaving. Time waits for no one. A cloud of smoke rose and the psychic beast disappeared. It brought Nangongja's message to Woodleaf Village. Then it's time for me to move in case I'm found. Nangongja was just about to leave when a gloomy voice sounded from behind him. No. I think you might not be able to leave here. I thought that for this kind of mission, Woodleaf Village would at most send a team of experienced ninjas here to solve it. Then I can easily deal with it. I didn't expect a ninja with such a good brain to come here. But it doesn't matter. This place is originally used to expose people. To have such a potential ninja in exchange for information that is destined to be exposed, this is a good deal. Kid, die. The person behind Nangongja said as he charged forward and launched an attack at him. Is that so? But my guess seems to be a little wrong because you're not a Jonin but a Chunin. So what? Isn't it easy to deal with you? No, it's just that I'm strong enough to fight you. Is that so? Earth release, mind beheading technique. The ninja said the name of the mission and instantly disappeared. Earth release? Nangongja was not anxious but he closed his eyes. Earth release doesn't mean turning oneself into soil, but it means escaping into the soil. When moving there will be a slight sound. Then, for Nangongja this is a huge flaw. Here. Nangongja suddenly leaped and stabbed the black sword into the ground with a backhand grip. When he pulled out the black sword, he saw a trace of blood on it. Your reaction is quite fast. Unfortunately, Earth release doesn't allow people to move underground. There is always a time limit. Now you should have returned to the surface, right? Nangongja said this, hoping that his words would create a certain psychological pressure on the enemy, forcing him to reveal more flaws. Earth release, yellow spring swamp. The ninja's voice sounded again, and the soil under Nangongja's feet began to become soft. Nangongja's feet shook, and with a skillful move, he stepped on the soft soil and jumped into the air. You can't run away this time. Earth release, earth dragon bullet. The ground turned into a swamp, and suddenly an earth dragon rushed toward Nangongja. Do you have any place in the air to avoid the attack? The ninja finally appeared from the shadows and looked at Nangongja as if he was looking at a dead man. But at this moment, Nangongja was smiling. Are you sure? The black sword in his hand was raised high, and his inner energy was continuously injected into the black sword. Strands of faint blue light surrounded the black sword. Slash. Nangongja roared, and the earth dragon was instantly cut into two by the black sword, turning into a pile of mud. However, Nangongja's falling body did not stop, and instead, his speed increased due to inertia. The light on the black sword became brighter, and it slashed toward the enemy who was slightly stunned. Then I'll drag you down with me. Let's die together. Earth release, earth prison neon. A slightly curved thick rock wall rose from the ground, and Nangongja and the ninja were trapped inside. Let's die together. The ninja opened his jacket and activated the explosive charms. One by one were on the verge of exploding. Chapter 15. Bang! A loud sound reverberated in the air, and a figure flew out at an extremely fast speed. This figure was naturally Nangongja. Nangongja saw that his opponent was covered in explosive charms and knew that he was in trouble. He immediately changed his direction and used his sword to cut through the walls of the earth prison. The black sword that was wrapped in inner energy was swung quickly, but every time he swung it, he could only remove a little bit of the earth prison's soil. Quick, quick, quick. Nangongja increased the output of his chi and brandished his sword in a frenzy. He could faintly feel the heat wave that was about to come from his back. He immediately curled up his body and leaned against the wall that he had slightly shaved off. Then a huge force hit Nangongja's back. The wall that was cut by Nangongja instantly cracked under the huge impact, and Nangongja shot out like a cannonball. Along the way he kicked up a lot of dust and crashed into many trees. Nangongja also fainted. In a daze, Nangongja regained consciousness, but he could not open his eyes. He could only feel a bottomless darkness entangling him, like a bottomless quagmire, deeply entangling him. He could not even curl his fingers slightly. Roar! A huge beast's roar sounded in Nangongja's ears. The beast's roar was deafening. This is a lion? Nangongja carefully distinguished the beast's roar, and realized that it was very similar to the lion in his memory. However, this roar was obviously not the roar of an ordinary lion. Because it was just one sound, but when he listened carefully, it sounded like the roar of 100 beasts. Kid, open your eyes. A majestic voice sounded in Nangongja's ears. No. I can't open my eyes. Nangongja struggled to speak these few words. Kid, you can do it. Even if you can't, you have to try your best to open your eyes, or else you'll lose your life. That was right, I was caught in the explosion of dozens of explosive talismans. I should be in a severe coma right now, right? No. I can't. I can't leave little meat alone like this. Ah. Nangongja roared. His throat, which used to be laborious to speak, now seemed to have activated a different kind of vitality. I want to live. I can't die yet. There's someone else. Someone is waiting for me. There are still people waiting for me to come home. How could I? How can he die just like that? Brr. At this moment, Nangongja roared like a lion. His muscles, bones and blood vessels began to rumble. Back then, the tiger-leopard thunderous roar that had been released coincidentally had also been activated. He was like a ferocious beast struggling for a chance to live. Finally, Nangongja opened his eyes. His black and white eyes shone brightly. In the depths of his eyes, there were faint traces of a lion's head. Brat, you're indeed worthy of being someone I value. You've really woken up. Not bad. Not bad. Nangongja turned around and saw a man wearing a black fur feather weave. The man looked strong and powerful. Even the loose feather weave could not hide the man's sense of strength. His hair was spread out and he had a tiger's beard. His pair of round eyes stared straight at Nangongja. At this moment, Nangongja suddenly realized that there were no injuries on his body at all. Moreover, he was in a huge white space. This is? Nangongja asked. This is your spiritual space. The big man realized that Nangongja did not respond to his praise and said in a bad mood. Spiritual space? Then who are you? Why are you in my spiritual space? Nangongja bit the word mine heavily. Brat, you're very cautious. This is indeed your spiritual space. And me? I'm just a soul. Soul? That's right. The appearance you see now is not my original body. You're not a human? Hearing the big man say original body, Nangongja suddenly had an unimaginable guess. That's right. I'm not a human. I'm a demon. My original body is a lion. Then the lion roar I heard just now was also a lion? Yes, that's me. I've seen spiritual beasts before. They can indeed speak human language. But to transform into human form, this is really beyond my imagination. Is this a demon? Because a long time ago, spiritual beasts were not called spiritual beasts. They were demons. At that time, all of the leaders of the various demon clans could transform into human form. However, the demon clans were massacred. All of the royal clans that could transform into human form were killed. Now only that old toad that knows his destiny, that sinister snake, and that old slug that can't be killed no matter what, are still alive? The spiritual beasts of the Sannin? Looks like you know their clans. Yes, they are the spiritual beasts of the powerful ninjas of today. No. The ones you see should be the descendants of those fellows I mentioned. But that's nothing. Kid, do me a favor. I can help you recover quickly and even improve your body's constitution. How about? What favor? I died in the last battle at this place you call Lion Morning Mountain, but my race hasn't gone extinct yet. If you help me find them and protect them, I'll willingly turn my soul into your familiar and serve you at your beck and call. After all, with your strength, you probably can't use spiritual techniques, right? If you don't mind my lack of strength, I'm willing to help you. What's wrong with benefiting others and myself? Good kid. You've seen through it. The big man suddenly emitted a pitch-black light. Slowly the light began to expand. In a moment, the black light had grown to the size of a small mountain. The black light dissipated, and a black lion with a golden mane appeared in front of Nangongja. The black lion's eyes shone with a golden light. There was a golden flame burning on its tail. Let me send you back. The black lion leaped up and pounced on Nangongja. The huge figure instantly turned into an endless black light belt that twined around Nangongja's body. I can't be wrong about your aura. You were my ally in the past. Let me become your familiar once again. I'll conquer the world for you. At this moment, Nangongja had lost consciousness. Only the black lion's voice echoed in the empty spiritual space. A golden light flashed. As expected, I was right to place the flying thunder god's curse on him as a precaution. I knew it was going to be bad when I borrowed Kakashi's message. I didn't expect this to happen even if I rushed over immediately. I'll send him back to Woodleaf first, Windblast Watergate turned to look at the brightly lit stronghold. Let's take care of this place later. Another golden light flashed, and the figures of Nangongzhe and Namikaze Minato disappeared. Chapter 16. When Nangongzhe opened his eyes again, he was already in the house given to him by the Hataki family. I'm back? A voice suddenly sounded in Nangongzhe's mind. That's right, you fainted after the explosion. A blonde young man used a spatial ninjutsu to bring you back to this village. A lion? Nangongzhe realized that the owner of the voice was the black lion that appeared in his mind and became his familiar. Call me Liang. The black lion Liang said to Nangongzhe. Vassal beast. What exactly are they? A different type of summon beast? Remembering that Liang was his familiar, but he didn't know what a familiar was, Nangongzhe quickly asked. Familiars aren't summoned beasts. A person can only sign a contract with one familiar. From now on, the two of them will live and die together. Unless both of them agree to terminate the contract, it will never end. The two of us will share our lives. In other words, you will share my long life with me. Is that so? While Nangongzhe was still thinking about familiars, he heard the sound of the door being unlocked. When Nangongzhe opened the door, she saw her brother standing at the door looking at her with a smile. Brother? Nangongzhe immediately threw herself at Nangongzhe. You're awake? You've been unconscious for 3 days for unknown reasons. At that time you were covered in blood. I was really scared, brother. Nangongzhe had mixed feelings. He just tightly hugged Nangongzhe and didn't say a word. After a while, Nangongzhe seemed to have vented her emotions and came out of Nangongzhe's arms. Brother, wait, I'll go cook for you. You must be hungry after sleeping for so long. Seeing Nangongzhe go into the kitchen, Nangongzhe started talking to Liang again. Liang, what happened? Although I don't know how long you've lived, I know that you must be very experienced in battle. This time, I was in such a dangerous situation even though I was fighting against someone of similar strength. Indeed, it was my own lack of cultivation. It doesn't matter if I die. But I don't want my sister to live every day in fear. I want to become stronger, even stronger. I understand. Once upon a time, I thought that a good friend of mine was like you, who also cultivated inner strength and used swordsmanship. I think that he might be your ancestor. Although I didn't learn from him systematically, I still have a certain amount of understanding under his influence. As for my battle experience, I will do my best to impart it to you. After all, our lives are now the same. If you die, I die. I will help you. Ancestor? I didn't expect my family to have such a long history. By the way, you still need to make a trip to Lion Mountain. Lion Mountain? That's right, I died at Lion Mountain. My physical body is there, and the existence of my soul also requires energy. Go to my physical body and take my spirit nucleus. I can also use the power of the spirit nucleus to help you strengthen your physical body and fulfill my promise to you. Moreover, Lion Mountain is also a place suitable for your training. I know. I will accompany my sister, and then I will find a way to go to Lion Mountain to practice for a while. At this time there was a knock on the door. Nangongzhe opened the door and saw Watergate standing at the door. Watergate-sama. Well, Nangongzhe, now that you are awake, come with me to see the Hokage and explain the specific process of this mission. Okay, I will go and explain to my sister. Of course, this is what you should do. Nangongzhe went inside the house and told Nangongzhe that he was going to see the Hokage. Then he went out the door and went to the Hokage's office with Watergate. Speaking of which, I have to thank Watergate-sama for rescuing me. The two walked side by side on the street. Nangongzhe turned to Watergate to express his gratitude for being rescued. It's nothing. The scroll that Kakashi gave you was actually Kakashi's summoned beast. I happened to be with Kakashi and when I heard the news I knew it was bad, so I immediately rushed over. I hope you don't mind that I left a space ninjutsu mark on your body. After all, 3 generations, Sama asked me to take care of you. Watergate frankly told Nangongzhe that he left a mark on his body. I have to thank the mark, otherwise it would have been difficult for me to come back. The explosion at that time was bound to attract the bandits, and I fell into a coma without a trace of resistance. Watergate-sama coming to save me is already a blessing. It's good that you don't blame me. The conversation between the two ended at the door of the Hokage's office. Watergate knocked on the door and said respectfully, Hokage-sama. Would Leaf Jounin Watergate, would Leaf Chunin Nangongzhe come to report the mission? Come in. The voice of 3 generations came from the room. Nangongzhe walked into the office behind Shui Men who pushed the door open. Sandame wasn't the only one in the office. Woodleaf's two consultants, Zhuan Xiaochun and Mito Menitis, Root's leader Shimura Danzo, and one of the Sannin Jiraiya were all sitting in the office. Metro-sama. Metro-sama. Shimura-sama. Sensei. Seeing several people, Watergate saluted one by one, and Nangongja saluted one by one. Well, Watergate, let's talk about the discovery of this mission. Yes. Then Nangongjun will explain his guess to you first and I will add to it. Watergate turned to Nangongja and said, Nangongjun, please talk about what you saw and your guess. Okay. Nangongja nodded. He slowly said his guess about the identity of the so-called wandering ninja. The town's residents were kidnapped to build the underground fortress, and the Lion Mountain was used as bait. After I sent Nangongjun back, I also went to the Lion Mountain. Seeing Nangongja finished, Watergate also continued. After cleaning up the remaining bandits, I went down to the underground fortress they built under the leadership of the residents. The structure is of war level. It is impossible for such a project to be supervised by only one Chunin. There must be more ninjas sneaking into the Land of Fire. We need to conduct a search around the important places. I have a general understanding of the situation. After listening to Nangongja and Watergate's explanation, the three generations pondered for a moment and finally said, it is indeed necessary for us to conduct a search. Recently, the friction at the border has become more and more frequent. At this time, there must be no mistakes in the country. The three generations turned around and looked at Shimura Danzo and said, this cleaning operation will be carried out by the root. Danzo, thank you for your hard work. I am the root of the Woodleaf. Eliminating the obstacles of the Woodleaf is the right thing to do. Then I will go and arrange the operation first. Well, you can go back first. And Watergate and Nangongjun, you can also go back. Next we have to discuss. Yes, Sandame-sama. Watergate and Nangongja responded in unison, and then retreated together. Danzo took a deep look at Nangongja and disappeared. Chapter 17. Leaving all kinds of trivial things in Konoha aside, Nangongja finally once again set foot on the Lion Cry Mountain, the place where he almost died. But this time it wasn't just Nangongja who came alone, Nangongro also came. Because ninja school actually had a summer vacation, would you believe it? Anyway, there was a summer vacation. That was how willful the author was. Without the restraint of school, seeing that Nangongja was going to go out for a long time, Michan couldn't sit still. She kept pestering him, crying and throwing tantrums, tormenting Nangongja. In desperation, he could only bring Nangongro to Lion Cry Mountain. In fact, Nangongja didn't feel at ease about Nangongro staying alone in Woodleaf. The hidden soul of a Siskan hidden in his heart quietly exerted its power, making Nangongja bring Michan here. Nangongja originally wanted to find a place to live in 19 towns and settle his sister down. But the people in 19 towns seemed to know Nangongja and knew that he was on the verge of death in order to save them. That kind of enthusiasm made Nangongja really unable to bear it. He could only awkwardly take his sister to the mountain stronghold built by the bandits. The mountain stronghold was actually not bad. Except for a few big pits with a radius of 6 meters, there was also a dilapidated lobby and a little smell of blood, but it was still not bad. Fortunately, there were a few houses in this mountain stronghold that were relatively remote and not ravaged by Watergate. Otherwise, Nangongja could only build a wooden house by himself. Roro, Big Brother is going to a place to get something. I will be back soon. You should rest for a while, after all, you have run a lot. Okay, I know, Big Brother. I just need to organize the daily necessities and food. Living in this kind of place is quite refreshing. Under the repeated urging of Riang, Nangongja explained to his sister and went out. Although we want your spiritual core, where are we going to find it? This mountain isn't small. Nangongja asked Li Yang how he could find the spirit nucleus as soon as he stepped out of the door. It's actually very simple. This mountain was formed on my body. As long as you can dig a tunnel that is close to the center of the mountain, I think I can use the resonance to draw the spirit core over. Li Yang explained Nangongja's doubts. This mountain was formed from your body? Nangongja was shocked. Oh my. How old were you originally? Fortunately, there was someone who wanted to build an underground fortress here. They must have dug up quite a lot of it, which saved me a lot of effort. Let's go, I'll find the entrance first. Not long after, Nangongja found the entrance to the underground fortress. After all, the construction had not been completed yet, and the entrance to the mine was too conspicuous. Taking out the oil lamp that he had prepared beforehand, Nangongja walked into the mine. To the left. Don't worry about the fork in the road, go straight. To the left. Following Li Yang's continuous sensing, Nangongzhi changed the direction he was going in. After walking for about half an hour, Nangongzhi stopped. It was not that he had reached a place. Instead, there was no way out. In front of him was hard granite. Nangongzhi tested it with his black sword and found that it could only leave a faint white mark and remove some stone powder. Li Yang, are you sure this is the only way? You have no knowledge, kid. The soil and rocks in the mountain are all layered. No matter how you change your direction, you will still see the granite. This is the place where my senses are the strongest. It is the closest place to the tunnel you need to open up. Furthermore, you can also hone your sword skills. This is also part of my training for you. Nangongzhi did not receive 9 years of compulsory education and was tricked by Li Yang. Granite is a type of magma that erupts out of the ground. It only forms sheets and not layers. The direction that Li Yang pointed Nangongzhi in was the place where the granite was the thickest. But Nangongzhi did not know. Nangongzhi was stupid, or was he deliberately being stupid? Li Yang asked. Then how much do I need to dig? About 100 or 200 meters? With the hardness of this rock, this is not something that can be done in a day. That's right. What I am going to teach you is a way to compress your internal energy to the limit and vibrate it at a high frequency to increase the penetration and sharpness of your internal energy. I call it the oscillating sword. Oscillating sword? Okay, then I will prepare for a long battle. Listen carefully. The key to the oscillating sword is compression and vibration. I observed your battle with that ninja last time. You used your internal energy to wrap your weapon, cut off the ninja, and strengthen your offensive actions and thoughts. But your internal energy is too scattered. Streams of internal energy wrapped around your black sword. It looks cool, but it is too wasteful. Now, slowly try to use the oscillating sword to attack these rocks. This will be the best whetstone for you to sharpen your sword. Li Yang's words were sincere and heartfelt. Nangongzhi heard it and remembered it in his heart. He did not say anything and only nodded solemnly. The empty tunnel finally quieted down. Only the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Ro, I am back. Nangongzhi finished his afternoon of training and finally returned to his temporary residence. Brother, you are back. Before Nangong-ro finished speaking, she saw Nangongzhi enter the door. Before she finished speaking, she opened her small mouth and exclaimed, Brother, did you go to work on the stone? You are covered in stone powder. I am dying of laughter. Looking at Nangong-ro's mocking expression, Nangongzhi was helpless and did not know what to say. This can't be helped. There is a small lake behind the house for training. I will take a change of clothes and go there to wash. Anyway, it is summer, so it does not matter. Michan was still laughing wildly. Nangongzhi could only helplessly run into the house to take a change of clothes and go out. This time I have lost a lot of face. Nangongzhi soaked in the lake and muttered to himself. But your performance today is still not bad. This afternoon you have gradually mastered the oscillating sword technique. You have advanced by a full 5 meters. With your speed of improvement, you will be able to integrate the oscillating sword into every move in half a month. Li Yang replied. Whatever. Are you encouraging me? Nangongzhi said jokingly. You brat. You still have a long way to go. Take it slow. I know, but now. It is more convenient to take a good bath. After Nangongzhi finished speaking, he dived into the lake and swam. The cold lake water was stirred up by Nangongzhi. It seems that the big lake of the ninja world is about to rise. Chapter 18. Finally. I finally made it. An excited voice echoed in the empty tunnel. At this moment, Nangongzhi was in an extremely sorry state. His hair was long and draped over his shoulders. It was dry and shiny, and white stone powder was scattered all over his hair. His clothes were in tatters and hung on his body. Both of his hands were wrapped in bandages. When he gripped his sword, his hands were trembling slightly. It's been 3 months. I finally made it through. Originally, Li Yang estimated that Nangongzhi would be able to break through the tunnel and reach his body in half a month. Nangongzhi did it in half a month. However, Li Yang was unable to summon his spirit core. Because of the long years, Li Yang's strong body had begun to turn into stone. His body, which had been tempered to an unknown level, actually prevented the spirit core from responding to the exchange and breaking out of his body. There was no other way, he could only continue to dig. A month ago, Michan's summer vacation ended and she returned to the Ninja Academy to continue her studies. After Michan left, Nangongja almost never left the cave. This was also the reason why Nangongja was in such a messy state. Li Yang, summon it. Let me see what the spirit core that I worked so hard for 3 months is. Nangongja said as he looked at the overbearing lion head imprint on the deltoid muscle of his left arm with its sharp teeth wide open. The lion head imprint glowed faintly. Hee, you've already seen it. What did you say? Nangongja was very confused. The spirit core isn't a crystal. It's an invisible existence. It's scattered all over my body. This is also why my body can take care of everything. So you're saying that everything you said about the summoning was fake? Hee. Li Yang laughed lightly. My existence is the strongest attraction to the spirit core. When you broke through the stone wall and came into contact with your body, the power of the spirit core slowly began to seep into your body. This is also the reason why I can transform into the lion head seal and solidify it on your body. Right now, you are very close to the legendary sage body of the shinobi world, but you still can't freely use the natural energy outside your body. The body of an immortal. Could it be the legendary immortal of 6 paths? That's right, it's that damned old man. I'm sure he would never have thought that the 9 little pets he casually raised back then would become so popular that the world would go crazy over them. Nangongja could hardly contain his astonishment. Li Yang sounded like she was quite familiar with the immortal of 6 realms, and there wasn't much of a difference in their time and identity. Alright, don't think too much. The dead were already gone. What was the point of thinking so much? Old Man 6 Paths was not going to come back to life. But it's time for you to go back to Woodleaf. It seems to be quite chaotic outside. Li Yang could tell what Nangongja was thinking about, so she interrupted Nangongja's thoughts. He urged Nangongja to hurry back to the ninja village. Is it a war? When Nangongja found this war base, he already had a hunch that war was coming. He didn't expect that in just 3 months the war had already broken out. That's right. My psychic sense sensed that the residents of 19 towns were shrouded in fear and panic. Except for the war, he thought. According to my judgment, your current strength is above Jonin level, but below Kage level. As long as you don't seek death, you won't die so easily. I need to digest the energy hidden in your body. When I'm done, you can summon me and fight side by side with you. Fight side by side. How about it, young man? You're looking forward to it? I, Li Yang, can only show my strength on the battlefield after all. Alright. You should go and digest the energy. I'm looking forward to fighting side by side with you. After 3 months of constant companionship, Nangongja and Li Yang's relationship became closer day by day. Their souls were bound and their lives were shared, which laid a strong foundation for the two of them to trust each other. Therefore, Nangongja didn't show any reaction to Li Yang's concealment. Now Li Yang was like a brother to Nangongja. He taught him how to fight and how to conduct himself. Please show me your ID card. Nangongja arrived at the gate of Konoha and saw the long-awaited gate. Just as he was about to step in, a voice sounded from the side. It's Tanaka-senpai. You're Nangongjun? How did you end up like this after training for a few months? Well, it's a long story. I'll go home and clean up. I'll talk about the rest later, okay? Of course, no problem. Tanaka agreed, but then he seemed to think of something and said to Nangongja, Nangongjun, you should also be prepared these days. Konoha is now at war with the Sand of the Wind Country, the Water Country, and the Rock Country. Since you are a Chunin, 90% of your training will be sent to the battlefield. You have to be mentally prepared. Tanaka's sad tone was difficult to hide. It seemed that he had experienced something bad. Nangongja didn't ask much, he just nodded solemnly. Okay, I know. I'll be prepared. After all, I'm starting to like this village a little bit. Nangongja smiled. Although it was a little stiff, the brilliance contained in it couldn't be concealed. I also believe that you, Nangongjun, will definitely be able to create your own world. Tanaka said. Nangongja got up and ran in the direction of his home. Thank you for your kind words. Only the lingering sound gradually came from the air. This kid, maybe he can really become a legend like the Hachima and the Sannin? Tanaka muttered to himself as he walked to the sentry booth where he was on duty. When Nangongja arrived at home, he immediately took out a change of clothes and tidied himself up. After all, if his appearance was seen by his sister, he wouldn't know how much he would be scolded. Well, it looks good, that's it. Nangongja finally finished tidying up and looked at his appearance in the mirror. Now Nangongja has grown a little taller, he was almost 1.7 meters tall. His overall appearance was tall and strong. His body's muscles were streamlined, and the black robe that was a little loose now fit him. His shoulder-length hair was casually tied behind his head. Woodleaf's ninja headband was also tied around his neck. A black sword and an arm guard were also equipped on his body, shining with cold light. The current Nangongja was like a sharp sword that radiated light in all directions. He was just waiting to gallop on the battlefield. Nangongja ran to the gate of the ninja school and quietly waited for his sister to finish school, attracting the attention of the surrounding parents. This feeling, it's really cool. Chapter 19. Kill. 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 Hurry up. Back up with ninjutsu support. Watch out for the left. Don't let the enemy rush up. Hold on. Medic. Medic. Nangongja has been in the front line of the Wind Country for almost a month. During this time, Nangongja has been promoted to Jonin. Under the leadership of Tsunade and White Fang, the Land of Fire's ninjas had fought against the Land of Wind Sand ninjas 12 times, 39 medium-sized battles, countless small battles, and assassinations never stopped. This is war. This is the sentence Nangongja heard the most since he came to the front line. Nangongja Jonin. Tsukumo was standing in the command center, looking at the big strategic map. Yes. Now go to the right line to support them, and make sure to open up the situation. Understood. On the battlefield all the dialogue was so concise. Only orders and received orders, nothing more. He thought that every second wasted could mean more casualties. When he arrived at the right line, Nangongja looked at Shikaku Nara and said, "What do you need me to do?" Shikaku pointed to the front of the line. The Sand sent 3 puppet squads which greatly hindered the advance of the front line. You need to destroy the puppets as much as possible. Roger. Nangongja's legs kicked, and he arrived at the battlefield at a very fast speed. Yama-sama. The frontline ninjas saw Nangongja and greeted him. Yama, this is Nangongja's new nickname. Nangongja's number of kills in the previous battles was second only to White Fang, so he got such a nickname. Don't worry, send a few melee ninjas to join me. Yes. In a flash, 6 ninjas came behind Nangongja. Let's go. There were no motivational words, just a simple request to charge and kill. This was a ninja. He didn't need more than that. He only needed instructions. Oscillation sword. Ice blue flowing light instantly covered the black sword, and the edge of the blade sparkled with white light. This was the profound oscillation sword skill that Nangongja had honed in Liang and on the battlefield. He waved his black sword and quickened his pace. Before the enemy ninjas could react, Nangongja instantly appeared behind one of the enemy's puppets. Nangongja cut off the chakra wire that the Sand ninjas used to control their puppets. Without waiting for the puppet to reconnect, the black sword swiftly destroyed all of the puppet's joints. I'll take care of the puppets, you guys take care of the enemy ninjas without puppets. Yes. Nangongja didn't look at the fallen puppet or the shocked puppeteer behind it. Instead, he quickly gave the order and ran towards the other puppets. 3 minutes later, all of the puppets were under his control. When Nangongja was ready to report, there was a commotion in the enemy's camp. Nangongja took a closer look and saw a large storm coming towards Konoha's battle formation. Wind release, great breakthrough. A neat voice came from the Sand camp. This group of Sand ninjas. Was he forced into a corner? Ignoring their own frontline ninjas, Nangongja's heart palpitated as he looked at the enemy's crazy actions. Liang. It seems that it's your turn. Ah. Boy, it's finally my turn to exercise my muscles. On the 10th day of Nangongja's arrival, Liang had finished digesting the energy and was ready to attack at any time. However, in order to preserve his trump card, Nangongja didn't use Liang to fight. This time, in order to protect the frontline ninjas, Nangongja decided to use this trump card. Thunder of the 9th heaven, majestic heaven. Furious lion, thunder descends. Come out, my familiar. Black lion Liang. Nangongja bit his right thumb and pressed his blood-stained finger on the lion head seal on his left shoulder, and shouted a few words to summon his familiar. In an instant, the blood on his fingertip merged into the lion head seal. The original pale golden lion head seal turned blood red, and a magic circle appeared in the palm of Nangongja's right hand. The palm stretched forward, and the magic circle on the palm of his hand expanded countless times. Roar! 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 Liang's roar resounded throughout the battlefield. A huge head slowly emerged from the magic circle, slowly revealing Liang's figure. Its whole body was covered in black fur, golden eyes and mane, and its tail and 4 claws were burning with golden flames. Liang looked up to the sky and roared again, and the originally clear sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds and thunder. The great breakthrough that was about to happen suddenly calmed down. Thunder of the ninth heaven. Liang's mouth spat out a solemn and chilling sound, and the dark clouds in the sky seemed to respond to Liang's call, and instantly rolled over. Finally, a thick purple lightning fell on the Sans ninjutsu formation. Bang! Screams. Incessant screams. Now is the time. Go. Open the path. Nangongja saw the change in the situation and quickly gave the order to the ninjas around him. Yes. Nangongja and the ninjas instantly rushed into the enemy's chaotic formation, rushing left and right, killing unceasingly. Seeing the enemy's formation slowly returning to order, Nangongja signaled to retreat, and he returned to the center of the formation. Tsunade-sama. White Fang-sama. With Leaf Jonin Nangongja reporting. Seeing Nangongja coming in, White Fang and Tsunade also turned to look at Nangongja. Nangongjun, good job. When the right side was successfully broken through, the other forces also broke through. Now the Sand Ninjas have almost given up on the battle formation and are ready to retreat. But now the war is still in the early stages, and there are many large-scale killing methods that have not been used yet. You can be considered to have made a start. After that, the war will enter the vital parts of the country of wind. It will only be more difficult. Go to the medical class to treat your injuries and prepare for the next battle. Although Tsunade was praising Nangongja, Nangongja still understood some of the meaning behind it. He may have used too much strength. Although Liang's application is quite good, it can be regarded as opening the door to large-scale killing methods. The next battle will only be more tragic. However, Nangongja didn't stick to this. This kind of battle is only a matter of time, and if you can seize the opportunity, then you have the advantage. There is no need to think too much. Tsunade-sama, White Fang-sama. I will go first. Okay, Nangongjun, you go first. I will look for you later. Your swordsmanship is still a little flawed. Although it is not obvious, it still needs to be corrected in time. White Fang saw Nangongja was about to leave and said, Yes. After Nangongja left, Tsunade looked at White Fang strangely. This is not like you, White Fang-sama. You care so much about a boy. White Fang smiled helplessly. I have to. I always feel uneasy as if something bad is about to happen. Even when I was about to die, I didn't feel this strong. I will teach Nangongja more now, and it can be regarded as a little more at ease. Is that so? Tsunade heard White Fang's words, bowed her head and muttered, The village has been forced to this point. High merit can't be tolerated. White Fang sighed softly and said no more. Chapter 20. On this day White Fang went out. It wasn't an important battle, but White Fang still went out. On this day White Fang showed his fangs again. Most people didn't know why. They just looked at White Fang's figure with envy. Only Tsunade and a few commanders looked at White Fang's crazy figure with a sad expression. When White Fang returned to the center of the army, he was covered in blood. There were more than 60 wounds on his body. White Fang didn't say anything. He just bandaged his wounds and called Nangongja to his tent. Chimu-senpai, what's wrong with you? You're not like you at all today. You're just killing without any purpose. White Fang sat on the bed. Nangongja pulled the curtain of the tent and asked hurriedly. Ha. White Fang made a soft sound. It was hard to tell whether it was a sigh or a laugh. You're right. I'm different today. I want to kill for a while with my current jutsu. This? Nangongja was puzzled. What? Gee, you've always been smart. You understand the way of the sword and the human heart. That's good. White Fang suddenly praised Nangongja. However, there are some things you can't think of. If there's light in this world, there will be darkness. When you decide to become a sharp blade, you have to be prepared to be put away in the end. Is it because the sharp blade isn't good enough? Of course not. Most of the sharp blades are put away not because they're dull, but because they're too sharp. Now, I'm a blade that's going to be put away. Chimu-senpai, you mean, the village? Nangongja opened his eyes wide. He couldn't believe it. It's good that you know. There's no need to say it. White Fang waved his hand to signal Nangongja to stop talking. But, we're in the middle of a war right now. Why would they? Nangongja was still confused. It's because of the war that they have a chance. White Fang looked at the ceiling of the tent and let out a long sigh. Little Zhe, you and I have been together for a long time. Although we are not related by blood, I do see you as my nephew. In the future, I will not be able to protect the Hataki clan. Kakashi will definitely suffer a great blow. At that time please help him. Senior Chimu? You can choose. Nangongja looked at White Fang with sparkling eyes. No. Actually, I had already reached the point where I had no other choice. Whether it was the 3 generations, Danzo or many others, none of them left me with a choice. Or rather, I've cut off all the options. White Fang said, in my life I have never been willing to submit. I thought that life should be like a sword and I would rather break than bend. But now I understand that the real one must be full of resilience. Otherwise it's too easy to suffer. Little Zhi, you have to remember this. Senior Chimu, hehe. I have already lived a good life. The whole world is my legend. To be able to leave a trace of myself in the world is enough. What more can a man ask for? What more can a man ask for? What more can a man ask for? Looking at White Fang, Nangongja was stunned for a moment. At this moment, White Fang's brilliance was unparalleled. Nangongja turned and walked out of the tent, returning to his own, holding the black sword. The sword. Ataki Tsukumo is the strongest swordsman I have ever seen. But that's not why I admire him. The reason I really admire him is because he is a sword himself. His whole life he was extreme to the sword, extreme to the love. He infused everything he had into his sword moves. But it is such a person. Now he has reached the end of the road. He even entrusted his son to me. What's the point of this peerless sword? Even if the sword is peerless, it can't overcome the good and evil of human nature. Will I one day embark on such a path? Nangongja didn't know how he fell asleep, but when he woke up he found the black sword tightly in his arms. Walking to the headquarters he saw Tsunade. Tsunade-sama. Tsunade heard Nangongja's greeting and turned to look at Nangongja speechlessly. Her slightly red and swollen eyes seemed to want to say something. White Fang went on a mission and finally, is that so? Nangongjun, do you know? Now, Konoha doesn't look like the home I grew up in. My grandfather and second grandfather gave up their lives for the sake of Konoha. But it is such a wood leaf that has become more and more wrong. Nangongja looked at Tsunade for a while. He didn't know what to say. My lover, my brother, my family. They all turned into a ball of fire on the wood leaf. They felt that their sacrifice pointed the way for more people to come. However, when a ball of fire was ignited, it also indicated that a patch of darkness had appeared. After this war, I may have to leave here. Tsunade-sama is also leaving? Well, you're just a child. Why am I telling you this? Just forget it. Tsunade's gloomy face instantly returned to normal. I understand. Then would Leaf Jounin Nangongja. Seeing Tsunade suddenly looking at him seriously, Nangongja knew that another mission was about to be issued. Now order Nangongja to go to the Rock Ninja battlefield to assist Minato, Watergate, and Jiraiya in the battle. Understood. Is she trying to send me away? Nangongja didn't know why such a dark guess suddenly appeared in his heart. As long as I'm still here, how can I let White Fang take the risk? Nangongjiaonin. Just follow the order, don't think too much. You don't have the right to think too much now. Tsunade saw Nangongja's suspicion and scolded. Yes. Even if I'm here, what can I do? I'm just an ordinary Jounin, and I'm even a Jounin with a serious problem. Can I help White Fang? He had underestimated himself too much. Kakashi is in the Rock Ninja battlefield, right? Nangongja suddenly remembered White Fang's request and asked. Yes, Watergate is with his team to support the Rock Ninja battlefield. I heard that the team's performance is not bad. After this period of training, almost all of them have reached the Chunin level. Kakashi has become a Jounin. Okay. I understand. Nangongja will go to the Rock Ninja battlefield. Have a good trip. Nangongja went back to pack his belongings and left. On the way to the Rock Ninja battlefield, Nangongja passed by the Woodleaf Ninja supply point and heard the news that Woodleaf's White Fang Tsukumo gave up the mission and returned to Woodleaf to commit suicide. A legend of a generation withered away. This is the legendary most peaceful ninja village in the world, Woodleaf. Chapter 21. That night, the stars were shining brightly. Woodleaf's golden light was shining. Watergate was sitting under a tree with a bottle of wine beside him. Oh, Watergate-san can also drink? Nangongja was surprised to see the wine beside Watergate. Oh, so it's Nangongjun. Did you come to support? Yes. Woodleaf Jonin Nangongja was ordered by Tsunade-sama to support the rock. Well, you don't have to be so serious. I don't want to be so serious tonight. Looking at Nangongja's serious face, Watergate felt an inexplicable sense of irritation. Is this wine for Hataki-senpai? Seeing Watergate's strange expression, Nangongja slowly sat next to him, leaning against the tree behind him and asked. Yeah. The legend of Konoha's White Fang actually ended up like this. My words carry little weight and I can't do more than that. I can only offer him a bottle of good wine to comfort his spirit. Nangongja knew that Watergate, as a Sanin's disciple, must know more and see more darkness. At this time, Watergate didn't have his usual sunny and cheerful image. Instead, he was a bit depressed. Watergate said, "Before I left, Tsunade-sama told me that Woodleaf is no longer the Woodleaf it used to be." Watergate was smart enough to understand the meaning of Nangongja's words. Everything has to change. What will remain the same? Woodleaf Village has been around for decades, and there have been 3 generations of Hokage. This is also the replacement of 3 generations. The human heart has never been a firm and stable thing. The existence of troubled times will arouse more darkness in people's hearts. This will bring slaughter, disaster, and death. I'm not the only one who can see through these things. Everyone can think of it as long as they meditate. But it's easy to know but hard to do. How many people will want to change it? Countless people have died on this path. The first Hokage, the second Hokage, and now Sande may have had such thoughts a few years ago, but now, I can't say it's gone, but of course it's a lot fainter. Minato shook his head and leaned the back of his head against the tree trunk. He didn't speak anymore. But isn't Hataki-senpai? I fought for Konoha all my life and wielded my sword for Konoha. Killed countless enemies, shocked the world. In the end, this is the end. Is this the attitude of Konoha towards those who are loyal to it? Someone who has already decayed to the point of being a pillar can be destroyed wantonly. The princess of Senju clan, who has been rotten to the point of being Woodleaf for generations, wants to escape far away? Seeing Watergate's silence, Nangongja couldn't bear it anymore. His words were like a knife cutting the heart of the listener. How many people in this world have been wronged? The long river of the ninja world is the endless flow of heroes' blood, the endless tears. As long as this era continues, we can only keep bleeding and crying. I'm not willing. I don't want to. But I'm not strong enough. Did the god of shinobi, who was as strong as the first Hokage, finally create peace? Still no. I can only endure, I can only continue to enrich myself. One day I will change this ninja world. If I can't, then let my children continue. For generations there will be no end. Watergate's words were getting more and more intense, and in the end he was almost roaring. Realizing his gaffe, Watergate took a deep look at Nangongja and left. Hataki-san, I'm not as strong as you nor as strong as the first Hokage. I don't know if I can change the era. Such ambition is too far for me. But as long as I have a little power, I'm willing to help. Help those who need help. I'm willing to guide the way forward with my sword. Hard is easy to break? Hataki-san, you're right. But if I lose this strength, is it still a sword? Nangongja picked up the bottle left by Watergate and poured it on the ground. Senpai, drink this wine and pick up the sword in the next life. After that, Nangongja turned around and left. At this time, a man with white hair appeared behind the tree, Jiraiya. Hero's blood? Parting tears? Watergate, you're right. It's not only people who are wrong but also generations. Could the child of prophecy that the great toad Immortal mentioned be you? Tsunade, are you leaving? Then what's the point of me staying here? Aha, is it rotten? This tree. With a desolate laugh, Jiraiya also left. Kill? People who give up the mission are not worthy of sympathy. I'm a ninja. Ruthlessness is the way of the ninja. Ah. Kakashi crazily slashed the training post in front of him. Kakashi. Nangongja appeared behind Kakashi and looked at Kakashi at this moment. What's wrong? Kakashi turned his head and looked at Nangongja. His eyes changed. It was not like the arrogant and confident when they first met. At this time, his eyes were filled with anger, killing intent, and bottomless indifference. If you want to practice sword, I'll accompany you. Seeing Kakashi, who was a bit broken at this time, Nangongja didn't know what to say. In that case, they could only fight for a while and vent their frustrations. Nangongja slowly pulled out the long sword on his back and crossed with Kakashi's sword. White Fang, what's wrong? Kakashi, what's wrong? Just because of some inexplicable speculation and intention, you can take away a hero who sacrificed his life for the village? Destroy a boy who was originally a promising boy? None of this should happen. But what can I do? I can't do anything. Why? Father Sama is the person who deserves the title of ninja the most. But he killed himself because he gave up the mission and was forced by everyone. Coward. Selfish. What? Why did you leave me behind? Both of them were actually venting their emotions at this time. Threw the sword and the sword again and again. The two didn't hold back and just attacked again and again. After a long time, the sound of metal and stone colliding stopped. Only two people fell to the ground, each of them had a lot of wounds on their body. Kakashi, do you hate your father? Nangongja, one of the two people who fell to the ground, suddenly asked. I hate him. But I don't hate him for giving up the mission. I hate him for killing himself. He shouldn't have left this world like this. There are some things I can't say more. This matter is not as simple as it looks. Nangongjun, don't forget. I'm the young master of the Hataki family. Wood Leaf, at this moment I don't know everything, but I know a lot. That's right. I actually forgot about this. I can't be so rational now. Only madness, only suppressing emotions can avoid more persecution. After this battle, I'll apply to join the dark group and leave some people's sight. But this is not over. Of course, even if you want to end it, I won't end it. Chapter 22. There was endless killing. Woodleaf seemed to have started to target the Rock's grain transport team. A lot of Jonins and affiliated ninjas were sent to carry out missions. Nangongja wasn't suitable for this kind of destruction mission, so Nangongja's mission was to block the enemy's reinforcements. Everyone knew that the Rock ninjas had run out of food and ammunition in this battle. If the supply route can be blocked smoothly, Konoha's victory will be set. Let's not talk about the killing for the time being. On this day, Nangongja finished his sniping mission. He returned to the Woodleaf camp. Just as he was about to go back to rest, an acquaintance entered the camp. It was Watergate and his team. Nangongja didn't have any intention to pay attention to them. But the team was missing one person, Uchiha Obito. At this moment, Kakashi's hair was disheveled, and there were many wounds on his body. Although Harano Rin didn't suffer any serious injuries, her hands were full of blood. As for Minato, everyone could see the look of self-responsibility on his face right now. It's Obito. Nangongja stepped forward, walked to Watergate's side and quietly asked. Watergate didn't speak, he just nodded. Kakashi looked up at Nangongja. His originally pitch-black eyes had now become a strange combination of black and red. The red one was a Sharingan with two tomo. In order to protect me, Obito was hit by the enemy's ninjutsu. In the end, there was nothing left of him. Kakashi said in a seemingly indifferent tone. But the red eyes and slightly trembling shoulders all confirmed Kakashi's feelings at the moment. It's hard to break the pot away from the well, and it's inevitable that a general will die in battle. Since you're a ninja, you have to be prepared to die. We can't do anything because we're the ones who put our lives on the line. Nangongja tried to comfort Kakashi. Nangongjun, don't worry. When I stepped onto the battlefield, I was already mentally prepared. But although I often have some conflicts with Obito, he has always been my best friend in my heart. It was always hard for a good friend to pass away. Obito gave me this eye, so I will try my best to use it to see all kinds of things in this world for Obito, and use it to help Obito see the day when the shinobi world is stable. Hearing Kakashi's words, Nangongja's heart that had been hanging in the air finally calmed down. However, Nangongja suddenly thought of something and turned to look at Watergate. The Sharingan is also a disaster. Everyone knows what kind of people the Uchiha clan is. But this Sharingan fell on Kakashi's body. Will the Uchiha clan give up so easily? This? Watergate was also embarrassed. This is indeed a disaster. But looking at the sadness in Kakashi's eyes, Watergate also hardened his heart and said, I will work hard for the Uchiha clan. Kakashi's heart and Obito's last wish, I will try my best to keep it. Since Watergate already has a plan in your heart, then I won't say anything more. You have also returned from a mission, go and rest. Then we will take our leave. Watergate slightly bowed to Nangongja and left with Kakashi and Rin. Obito, although that kid is stupid but he just left like that, it's really a ninja. This is a ninja. Looking at the surrounding fog, Nangongja was embarrassed. Because the fog was so thick that he couldn't see anything. Yes, Nangongja went to all three battlefields of Woodleaf. Now the sand battlefield is continuing to advance, and the rock battlefield is becoming more and more stable with the completion of the food robbery plan. As a result, Nangongja was assigned to the mist battlefield. Known as the Blood Mist battlefield, the intensity of the battle is several times worse than the other two battlefields. At this moment, Nangong's task was to chase an umbu sent to investigate the wood leaf. This fog is too thick. I just got assigned to the mist battlefield and I have to face such a thick fog? It's really unfortunate. Nangongja actually taught himself how to pick up girls. Nangongja seemed to be unable to tell the direction at the moment, he just kept moving forward following the footprints left on the ground. Brush. At this moment, Nangongja suddenly heard the sound of a ninja tool behind him. The ninja tool was about to hit Nangongja's back. At this time, Nangongja suddenly unsheathed his black sword. Ding, ding, ding. Several shurikens were shot down by Nangongja. Is this all the mist ninja's tricks? Nangongja suddenly said jokingly. Yes, Nangongja had been pretending to be relaxed, waiting for the enemy's umbu to attack. Although Nangongja just arrived at the mist battlefield not long ago, he had some understanding of the mist ninja's methods. Even if they were being chased, most of the mist ninjas hoped to escape with their lives. At this moment, the umbu didn't know what Nangongja expected. Leaving footprints on the ground, you want me to keep going in circles, wear down my patience and wait for an opportunity to counterattack. Aren't you underestimating Konoha's Jonin too much? Oh. Suddenly there was a clear laughter in the fog. Is that so? You're the one who underestimated the mist ninjas. Water release, mist jutsu. The fog around him became thicker. A figure suddenly jumped out from Nangongja's right side. The kunai and the black sword collided and sparks flew. You want to play sword jutsu with me? You're still too young. After a long time of killing, Nangongja was very familiar with the 13 swords that Nangong-ro gave him. Every move was full of murderous intent. After only 4 or 5 exchanges, Nangongja's opponent was knocked to the ground with a single slash. Nangongja said with his sword at the opponent's throat. Die. At this time there was a clear laughter under the mask. Not good. Water doppelganger. Nangongja stabbed the water doppelganger, but at the same time the splashing water began to gather. Water release, water prison jutsu. A small white hand appeared on top of Nangongja's head, and countless splashes quickly gathered into a huge water ball that wrapped around Nangongja. Under the lack of oxygen and water pressure, Nangongja began to lose consciousness. At this time, a figure appeared in front of the water ball, and it was the real body of the mist ninja. Now it's my turn to kill you. The umbu took out a kunai from his back and was about to stab Nangongja. The corners of Nangongja's mouth opened. Although he drank a few mouthfuls of water, he still had a bright smile on his face. No. It's my turn to kill you. The ice blue light instantly covered the whole black sword, and the oscillating internal force made the water ball tumble. Bang. A loud sound was heard, and Nangongja quickly rushed to the enemy. Chapter 23. Just as Nangongja was about to stab the umbu with his sword, the sound of hidden weapons came from both sides. Another ambush? Nangongja immediately jumped back and dodged the hidden weapon that was shot at him. Come out. If you want to save this person, how can you save him in the dark? Nangongja looked left and right to find a place to hide. Of course, Konoha's Yama Shinobi Minamiya isn't someone we can defeat just by hiding, right? Finally, 2 more masked members of the dark unit appeared from the shadows. I didn't expect that I would have a reputation in the mist. This really makes me scared. Nangongja said with a smile. Yamasama's performance in the sand and rock battlefields has long been known to everyone. It's normal for umbu hiding in the shadows to know. Otherwise, if one day you don't know who killed you, wouldn't it be a pity? One of the 3 umbu stepped forward and slightly bowed to Nangongja. Well, we've been talking for so long and I've recovered. Presumably you've already sent the signal. Let's fight. I'll let you go. Nangongja pulled out the black sword on his back and pointed to the first umbu. It's just, I can't let you take her away. After all, I haven't failed a mission yet. It's too bad to make an exception for such a thing, isn't it? As soon as Nangongja's voice fell, he rushed toward the first umbu. We can't let you do as you wish. The leader of the umbu shouted, and the 2 umbu behind him followed. The 3 of them lined up against Nangongja. Water release, great waterfall. Water release, water dragon bullet. The 2 umbu at the back simultaneously used ninjutsu. The great waterfall and water dragon bullet combined into one and rushed toward Nangongja. The leader of the umbu at the front pulled out his sword and faced Nangongja. Ninjutsu? You can't stop me. Oscillating sword. The ice blue brilliance instantly covered the black sword, and the blade of the black sword emitted a white light. Cut. The black sword directly cut the oncoming water dragon and torrent. When the water ninjutsu manipulates the water, chakra is connected, and Nangongja quickly cut the nodes, making the whole ninjutsu collapse. As soon as the ninjutsu dissipated and the water scattered, the leader of the Umbu rushed up under the cover of the mist. Water release, mist technique. The mist suddenly became thicker under the control of chakra. So, Yama? Come and try my silent killing technique. An ethereal voice came from the mist. Heart, kidney, lungs, brain, liver, spine. Where should I attack first? The words in the mist with murderous intent pressured Nangongja. Ah! Nangongja felt the murderous intent around him. Instead of being nervous, he laughed. Do you know who was the first person to train me to adapt to the murderous intent? It was Woodleaf White Fang. And I was crowned as Yama by the Sand Ninja, so your murderous intent is nothing to worry about. Nangongja said, and the long sword in his hand blocked the attacks from the Umbu leader and the other two Umbu. Since you made a move, then I can't do nothing. Looking at the Umbu around him, he laughed. You're just trying to buy time, but I don't want to give you time. Nangongja bit his right thumb and pressed his bloody finger on the lion head imprint on his left shoulder. The lion head imprint instantly turned crimson. Black Lion Ryo. I call you here, protect me and fight with me. In an instant, the black thunder wrapped around Nangongja's body. Slowly, the thunder condensed together and turned into a black armor. The chest armor was a roaring lion head, and the joints of the body were sharp like knives. Right now, Nangongja was like a lion that was about to hunt its prey. I haven't let anyone see this move yet, and today for a quick battle. I'll let you see it. In an instant, the thunder surged, the blood churned, and a strong wind shot in all directions, instantly dispersing the mist around him. Only 3 stunned Umbu were left behind. Die. Nangongja stepped on the ground, and his whole body flew out, leaving only some thunder in the air, indicating that Nangongja had passed by. In an instant, the 3 Umbu were beheaded. The blood splattered in the air, indicating the disappearance of 3 lives. Seeing that the female assassin who was his target had already been beheaded, Nangongja walked up to her and took out a scroll to seal her head inside. Mission completed. Then she lost her body. At this moment, a huge Nepenthes suddenly appeared on a big tree next to him. Ah, is this kid so powerful? The Nepenthes split open and a half black and half white head appeared. The white side was happy and the black side was gloomy. The 2 expressions were strangely and harmoniously blended together on the same face. Nangongja Woodleaf's Yama. He was taught by Hataki Sakumo, Woodleaf's White Fang Hataki Sakumo. His ninjutsu is very poor, but his swordsmanship is superb. He has outstanding performance in the rock, sand and mist battlefields. However, his weakness is also very obvious, his sister Nangong Ro. Oh? Black Zetsu, you're really insidious. I can't stand it anymore. The black half of the face coldly snorted, and didn't continue the white half of the face's words. Instead, he said what he knew. This Nangongja's family seems to have been destroyed by the ninja war, and he has repeatedly expressed his dissatisfaction with the current Woodleaf. We can absorb him into the Akatsuki. The Biju's resistance to ninjutsu is extremely high, and ordinary ninjutsu is almost useless. At least an A-class ninjutsu is useful. But taijutsu is different. This guy's taijutsu is extremely profound, and even his power system can restrain chakra to a certain extent. It's good for our future plans. Then let's observe we still have a long time. We're not in a hurry, and Nagato hasn't grown enough to implement the plan yet. Also, at this time, pay attention to the future. Let's record it and let Madara see what he can do. The 2? As the voice fell, their figures disappeared. Nangongja didn't know at this time that the biggest whirlpool in the ninja world was approaching him. But even if Nangongja knew, he wouldn't care. As a swordsman, he was never afraid of challenges, right? After returning to the camp to hand over the mission, Nangongja was not idle, but he was called by the commander, Orochimaru, to his tent. Chapter 24. Everyone is here now. Nangongja walked into the tent, followed by Orochimaru's unique, somewhat gloomy and hoarse voice. I have gathered 9 jonins and 15 chunins for a total of 24 ninjas. I want to give you an important order. Orochimaru said as he turned to face the map hanging behind him and pointed with the bamboo pole in his hand. Here will be the final battle between us and the mist. Now we have almost all the advantages, but the enemy has been attacking for a long time. I have summed up the reasons why we can't break out of this situation. First, we are not familiar with the battlefield. At this moment, most of the battlefield has extended to the territory of the water country. Although we have specialized ninjas to observe the terrain and climate here, the variability is beyond the scope of observation. Second, the influence of the climate. Konoha's ninjas mostly use fire release and earth release. Although we also have water release ninjas, the water release of the mist ninjas is better than ours. The climate here is humid and the ground is full of mud. The suppression of fire and earth release is too strong. The power of a ninjutsu will be reduced by at least 20%. Third, the training mechanism of the mist ninjas has caused many of them to be extremely aggressive. Even if we judge that they have lost the ability to attack, they may detonate the explosive tags in the next second and cause damage. These three are the main reasons, but there are more reasons that lead to the anxiety of the war. Woodleaf Headquarters has already sent the signal of the Sand's surrender. On the Rocks battlefield, Woodleaf and Kumo Shinobu have already reached an agreement to form an alliance because of the conflict between the 4th Reikage and the 3 generations Tsuchikage. The end of the Rocks battlefield is only a matter of time. Now the only thing that hasn't changed is the Mist's battlefield. I believe that no one here is willing to leave people at home like this, right? Everyone in the tent heard Orochimaru's words, and suddenly most of them were ashamed. But now I have found a turning point. While everyone was depressed, Orochimaru slowly began to explain the main reason for this gathering. According to the information we got from the Mist, the famous 7 ninja swordsmen of the Mist have now gathered and attacked our headquarters with the intention of destroying our command system. The reason I've gathered all of you this time is so that you can all go and snipe. The significance of the 7 legendary swordsmen to the Mist is self-evident, and their defeat will shake the morale of the Mist army. If our army launches an all-out attack at this time, we will definitely achieve half the result with twice the effort. Among the 9 jonins gathered here, there are 3 taijutsu-type jonins. Nangongja will be in charge of commanding them. Orochimaru turned to look at Nangongja and gave the order. Yes. Nangongja quickly complied. There are also 3 ninjutsu-type ninjas under Sato's command. Yes. The last 3 ninjas are comprehensive ninjas, so they will be dispatched by the Jonin Murashita. Yes. This battle mainly relies on taijutsu ninjas to fight, ninjutsu ninjas to support and integrated ninjas to kill. The 15 chunins will be assigned by the 3 jonins themselves. Next, let the staff introduce the information about the 7 ninja swordsmen. As soon as Orochimaru's voice fell, a ninja walked up to the podium, and several ninjas followed behind him with many scrolls and pictures. Now let's introduce the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Mist. We already know the names of these 7 swordsmen, but we still don't know the specific functions of several of them. Here are the pictures of several swordsmen drawn by our intelligence ninjas. You can study them later during the tactical discussion. The 7 swordsmen are Fang, Needle, Kabuto, Shark Skin, Flat Eyes, Beheading Sword, and Flying Foam. Among them, Fang is held by a ninja named Kurosawa. The information we have is that this saber can control lightning, but we don't know the specific effects and power. Needle is held by Sasuru, which is an auxiliary sword of the 7 ninja swordsmen. It plays the role of a medical ninja. Of course, its attack is also good. Kabuto is held by Nakamura, and this sword seems to exist as a vanguard. Shark Skin is held by the Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish. This sword has been wrapped in bandages. We don't even have a record of its true appearance. Please be careful. Flat Eyes is held by Hozuki Mangetsu. Hozuki clan's Kekkei Genkai is very difficult to deal with. We don't know the ability of Flat Eyes yet. Beheading Sword is held by Biwa Juzo, and there is no specific record of the ability of this sword. The last sword is called Flying Foam. There are many explosive tags on this sword, and it must have a lot to do with explosion. The owner is Shinhachi Wu. Under the analysis of our headquarters staff, Kabuto and Beheading Sword should be the vanguard. Fang and Flying Foam are mainly responsible for range attacks. Beheading Sword and Shark Skin are responsible for single attack. As for the last Needle, it should be responsible for wandering left and right, waiting for the opportunity to attack. These are just the contents of our summary based on the existing intelligence. It is very likely that there are omissions and you can only use it as a reference depending on the situation. After the staff finished speaking, he bowed to Orochimaru, and Orochimaru then walked to the stage. I know that many of you have been summoned as soon as you finished the mission. Although the 7 people have been summoned, it will take at least 3 days to reach the battlefield. I hope that you can complete the rest and make a good battle plan during this time. Orochimaru finished his speech and looked deeply at the 24 ninjas in the tent. Your mission is extremely important. It is very likely that there will be a large number of casualties, and I hope that everyone can do their best. I wish you all the best. After Orochimaru finished his last sentence, he actually bowed to all the ninjas, which was a rare sight for him. It seems that this mission is not as simple as it was introduced. The Mist Ninja 7 swordsmen are all Jonin, and with the strange ninja sword and their respective sword skills, their strength has reached the level of elite Jonin. And the 7 people have not acted together for a long time. The combination of the 7 swords and the effect of the staggered attack is unknown to everyone. This battle is not simple. With a heavy heart, the 24 ninjas walked out of the tent and returned to their camp. It was unknown how many ninjas had a sleepless night. Nangongja was the same. This is the first time that Nangongja faced such a famous ninja. Even Nangongja was responsible for the lives of 2 other taijutsu ninjas and the Chunin who was about to be assigned to his name. Nangongja's eyes were wide open with a hint of excitement as he looked at the distant horizon that was slowly turning white. Chapter 25. Today's rain is really heavy. Nangongja looked around and said to the ninjutsu team leader Sato and general operation team leader Murashita. Yes, although the ninjutsu team is mostly made up of water release and lightning release ninjas. But this kind of environment is a great hindrance for every woodleaf ninja. When Sato saw this scene, he couldn't help but feel a little worried. There's nothing we can do about it. The enemy has been living in this kind of climate for a long time, and they are much better than us. This rain is a test for our vision and movement, and these are all advantages for us. Nangongja said helplessly. Konoha had a lot of discomfort in fighting in this kind of environment. Okay, let's stop. Sato stretched out his hand and signaled the troops to stop moving forward. The ninjas behind immediately stopped and waited for instructions. From here we are out of woodleaf territory and entering the war zone. Everyone start paying attention. After Sato's reminder, there was no response. Instead, there was the sound of ninja preparing ninja tools. Considering that the enemy has a total of 7 Tokubetsu Jonin strength, Nangongja Sato Jonin, and Murashita Jonin planned to form a 3-layer defense circle with these 15 Chunins and 9 Jonins. 15 Chunins were responsible for patrolling outside. 6 Jonins were behind to support all sides and put out the fire when something special happened. Nangongja and the other 2 Jonins were in the innermost layer, responsible for command. Ka. Amidst the torrential rain, a crisp mechanical sound rang out quietly. Trap, trap. The Chunins on the periphery suddenly called for help. Many shurikens, kunai, senbon, and other hidden weapons were shot from all directions. Ninjutsu ninja ready. Water release, water wall. Release. In order to block the hidden weapons coming from all directions, Sato ordered to release ninjutsu. Walls of water began to appear around the formation to block the hidden weapons. Wait. Quickly remove the water wall. Nangongja's blood suddenly surged. He subconsciously felt that releasing the water formation wall would cause very dangerous consequences. Withdraw. Sato didn't ask anything because the sixth sense was more meaningful than the answer on the battlefield. Many ninjutsu ninjas began to remove the water wall at the same time. A rough voice suddenly sounded. Woodleaf ninjas really don't learn from their mistakes. Using water release against our mist ninjas? What a joke. Water release, water explosion shockwave. The originally scattered water wall was suddenly injected with a large amount of chakra, and more water was gathered together, forming a constantly expanding ring, surrounding Konoha's ninjas inside. No one wants to step on the water because the water around them is infused with chakra. Do you want to step on the water? It was as if he had stepped into a quagmire and had no chance of survival. The gap in the middle of the ring was getting smaller and smaller, and eventually, all of Konoha's ninjas were sucked into it. Let this uncle teach you a lesson. A short, slightly plump figure with a strange camouflage painted on his face appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The 7 swords of the mist, the wielder of the shark bone Watermelon Mountain's Fugu? Water release, water shark bullets. Watermelon Mountain's Fugu quickly formed hand seals, and his chubby hands pressed on the water's surface, forming a water shark bullet. A huge shark opened its mouth and attacked the woodleaf ninjas. Some of the weaker Chunin were instantly crushed into blood foam by the strong water pressure generated by the shark's big mouth. The blood was injected into the sharks, and each of the water shark bullets turned blood red. Nangongja looked at Watermelon Mountain's Fugu, who had been pressing his hands on the water, and realized that this ninjutsu must be in contact with the water. He took the black sword and cut his left shoulder, and the blood mixed into the water. It seemed that all the blood was attracted by something, and all the blood gathered to the lion head seal on his left shoulder. Ryo, come out. Nangongja shouted silently in his heart. In an instant, thick dark clouds appeared above the water. A huge black lion with a golden mane poked out of the clouds. A sharp claw with golden flames clawed at Watermelon Mountain's Fugu. Watermelon Mountain's Fugu could only let his ninjutsu disappear and quickly retreated. The chakra in the water disappeared, and the woodleaf ninjas quickly jumped out of the water and stood on the water's surface, waiting for the 7 swords to attack again. Nangongja didn't have chakra to use, so he stood on Ryo's head. Found them. Including Watermelon Mountain's Fugu, there are a total of 4 ninjas running towards us. According to their ninjutsu, they are Kurosawa, Hozuki Mangetsu, and Shinhachi. There are still 3 people missing. Nangongja stood high, and naturally he could detect more information. It was strange that only 4 ninjas appeared, so Nangongja quickly provided information to everyone on the water's surface. Shark skin, tooth, flatfish, and flying foam? They seem to be very strong ninja swords. The ones with beheading katana, dukkha, and needle haven't appeared yet. Fine. There's no time to think so much, everyone get ready. A fierce battle is coming. The General Operation Team Leader Murashita Jounin heard Nangongja's information and analyzed it. He originally wanted to draw some conclusions, but the 4 ninja swords were already approaching, so he could only clear his mind and fight the ninja swords. After the Watermelon Mountain's Fugu sneak attack, the Woodleaf ninjas also lost some members. Of the 15 chunins, only 9 were left. Of the 9 chunins, 2 were seriously injured and couldn't fight anymore. Now there were only 14 Woodleaf ninjas who could fight. In just a moment, the 4 ninja swords began to fight with everyone. A thick-backed broadsword with a thick spine opened the way in front, and the explosive tags attached to it exploded from time to time, making Konoha's taijutsu ninjas who were in charge of guerrilla warfare suffer unspeakably. Raiga was at the back of the group of dead people, and he raised his ninja sword high. The thundercloud that was formed to summon Ryan instantly provided Raiga with almost endless thunder support in the water. There were already several ninjas who were paralyzed by the thunder that suddenly appeared in the water, and then killed by Hozuki Mangetsu, who was holding the flatfish. At this moment, the Watermelon Mountain's Fugu had changed its appearance. Its body was covered with blue spikes, and its appearance had changed dramatically. It was like the incarnation of a humanoid shark that lurked in the lake under everyone's feet, and rushed to the water's surface to attack when there was an opportunity. The situation was very dangerous. Although Nangongja tried to think in a bad direction, Nangongja never thought that the Mist 7 ninja swords would be so difficult to deal with and so lethal. Chapter 26. This is really, seeing the situation that everyone was facing, Nangongja felt that it was very tricky. Raiga used his teeth to control the lightning and blocked the sky. Hozuki Mangetsu and Shinhachi were on the ground. They were fighting. Watermelon Mountain's pufferfish was attacking underwater. Almost all the possible places where there might be a breakthrough were strictly guarded. Woodleaf's few remaining jonins were also entangled by Shinhachi, Raiga, and Watermelon Mountain's pufferfish. Hozuki Mangetsu was holding a huge flounder and rushing left and right among the chunin, wantonly killing. A few jonins are fine for the time being, but the chunin are really in danger. Save them first, let them go back to Orochimaru and tell him that 3 ninja swordsmen are missing. Nangongja thought a little and could only come up with such a strategy. Liang, protect me, turn into my armor. Brat, let's have a good time killing them. Liang responded to Nangongja's call, and his huge body suddenly scattered and turned into a little bit of starlight, attached to Nangongja's body and turned into a black armor. Hozuki Mangetsu noticed the change in Nangongja and looked up. Konoha's Jonin, Minamiya Zetsu, is known as Yama. Let me see just how capable this King Yenluo is. He waved the huge flounder in his hand, forcing away several woodleaf chunin beside him, and a burst of chakra surged on the flounder. Show your strength, flounder. Hozuki Mangetsu waved the flounder in the direction of Nangongja, and the chakra attached to the flounder turned into a curved chakra blade and rushed towards Nangongja. It's a bit similar to my ability. But why would I want to fight you head-on? Nangongja's black armor was surging with lightning for a while, and he stepped heavily into the void. A wave of air appeared behind Nangongja, and Nangongja also moved forward like an arrow. Looking at the chakra blade that was about to cut him, Nangongja moved sideways and cleverly avoided it. He rushed straight towards Hozuki Mangetsu. Ah! As expected of Yama, good courage. Seeing Nangongja forced his chakra blade, Hozuki Mangetsu, he couldn't help but praise him. It's easy to say, but how many ninjas can face the sharp chakra blade head-on and avoid this deadly attack by a hair's breadth? I don't want to be entangled with you, let's end this quickly, and I can support the other Chunin and break the situation. Nangongja held the black sword in his hand. The black sword was instantly covered in a layer of icy blue light. The black lightning that wrapped around his body also spread to the sword. Is that so? Seeing Nangongja's black sword stabbing towards him, Hozuki Mangetsu didn't retreat. Instead, he directly rushed up and let the black sword stab his body. The huge flounder also attacked Nangongja under Hozuki Mangetsu's wave. Do you think Hozuki clan's Kekkei Genkai is a problem for me? Nangongja looked at Hozuki Mangetsu's movement and knew that Hozuki Mangetsu wanted to use his clan's Kekkei Genkai to exchange injuries with Nangongja. Hozuki clan's Kekkei Genkai was almost immune to all physical damage, and it was almost overwhelming for Nangongja, who was a taijutsu-type ninja. But Nangongja was different. At this time Nangongja's sword carried Li Yang's thunder power. Although Nangongja didn't know the details of Li Yang's strength, but he knew that Hozuki Mangetsu absolutely can't block it. The black sword stabbed into Hozuki Mangetsu's body, but Nangongja didn't feel a trace of pain. Li Yang, I'm counting on you. Ha! Oh, this kid is really arrogant, let me teach him a good lesson. On the lion relief on the chest armor, the golden eyes suddenly shined brightly. More and more black lightning was produced from the armor and poured into the black sword. Impossible. I can't guide this lightning into the water. Hozuki Mangetsu screamed, and in a moment Hozuki Mangetsu's whole body turned into water, and his whole body bulged as if it was boiling. Bang! A huge explosion sounded and Hozuki Mangetsu was killed. In fact, Hozuki Mangetsu shouldn't have been killed so easily. At least when he found out that Nangongja's black sword had a problem, Hozuki Mangetsu could have turned himself into water and hid in it. At this moment, there was still the watermelon mountain pufferfish in the water, and Nangongja couldn't do anything in this situation. However, Hozuki Mangetsu's mistake was that he underestimated Nangongja's sword, and the lightning wasn't ordinary lightning that could be guided into the water. After Hozuki Mangetsu died, the huge flat-eye flounder instantly turned into a large cloud of smoke and disappeared. It was probably sent back by the mist ninjas. After all, such a weapon couldn't fall into the hands of the enemy, and Nangongja didn't have any ninjas who were proficient in sealing to stop it. Nangongja didn't have time to think so much at this moment, and he just rushed towards Raiga. The three swordsmen were able to entangle so many jonins, mostly relying on Raiga's timely lightning to paralyze the woodleaf jonins. You. Don't come over. Looking at Nangongja, who had just defeated Hozuki Mangetsu, rushing towards him, Raiga panicked. This wasn't the mist ninjas who had been through a lot, but a fresh batch of swordsmen. Obviously, Hozuki Mangetsu, who was much stronger than him, died, and Raiga didn't have any confidence at this moment. Lightning escape, lightning ball. A ball of lightning struck towards Nangongja, but it didn't have any effect at all. Instead, it was absorbed by Nangongja's black armor. Have you forgotten who summoned these thunderclouds? Nangongja asked jokingly. Raiga certainly knew that these lightning balls couldn't cause any results. But his heart was in a panic and he could only do this to seek a sense of security. One after another lightning balls were sent out, but it didn't stop Nangongja's footsteps. No. I don't want to die. Raiga suddenly began to roar. Nangongja looked at his crazy appearance and quickly prepared to fight him in close quarters. Raiga quickly rushed towards Nangongja, brandishing the two blades in his hands. Just as Nangongja was about to use his gauntlet to block and counterattack, Raiga quickly turned and fled. This guy. Seeing Raiga running away, Nangongja was speechless. But Nangongja wasn't going to chase after him. It was better to break one finger than to injure all 10. He looked at Shinhachi, who was surrounded by several jonins, and smiled, and he also joined the battle. Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish saw that Shinhachi was surrounded and quietly retreated. But before he left, he muttered in his mouth, Raiga is really a coward, but it doesn't matter. He has been entangled for so long and it's enough. I hope the plan goes well. Chapter 27. In the end, Jinhachi died under the siege of a group of woodleaf ninjas. No matter how strong Jinhachi was, no matter how strong the power of flying foam was, all of this will eventually be submerged in the torrent of people's power. Laugh. Just like Hozuki Mangetsu's ninja sword after his death, the flying foam also disappeared without a trace in the smoke. I think we have to go back. The escaping Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish and Kurosawa have lost a lot of combat power and are extremely tired. If they dare to attack our army in this situation, they are looking for death. But at the moment, there are still 3 ninja swordsmen whose whereabouts are unknown. The biggest possibility is that they divided into 2 groups and deliberately separated a part of them to delay us. This also explains why the Mist Ninjas, who have always had a tight intelligence, spread the news that the 7 ninja swordsmen were going to attack the Woodleaf army. With Orochimaru-sama's wisdom, he must have thought of this earlier than us. We were just pawns sent to our deaths in the first place. This is also why Orochimaru-sama bowed to us before we left, right? Nangongja suddenly thought of the key points and analyzed to the remaining 4 jonins around him. In Chunin? They have long been reduced to cannon fodder in the melee. The psychological quality of a ninja who can become a jonin is not covered. Although they know that they have been abandoned, they don't have any extreme thoughts. There are always sacrifices in the war, and they can pay a small price to get more results. This kind of behavior is common in the eyes of ninjas, even if they are the ones who are abandoned. In that case, let's go back and help defend the remaining 3 ninja swordsmen. The jonin immediately gave the order. Several jonins nodded together. They quickly moved towards the Woodleaf camp. Bang! A huge cloud of smoke suddenly burst on the way back. It seems that the 3 ninja swordsmen are blocked in that direction. Nangongja understood what was going on for a while. He turned to look at the other 3 ninjas and said, "Everyone, relatively speaking, my movement speed is a little faster. I will rush to support first. Please go as soon as possible." Of course. The 3 jonins nodded again and again. Seeing that they agreed, Nangongja also increased his speed and rushed to the battlefield. In the huge smoke, a figure wearing a green tights rushed out, and at the same time, 3 mist ninjas appeared in the smoke. The Woodleaf ninja in the green tights was naturally Mike Day. This ninja. Why don't I have any impression of him? How can such a powerful taijutsu ninja be unknown? Nangongja was confused for a moment. He already knew Woodleaf's famous jonin Nangongja, but this person was too unfamiliar. No, there's something wrong with this person. After careful observation, Nangongja discovered that Mike Dai's entire body was emitting a terrifying red chakra. His eyes were almost completely white, and his muscles and tendons were constantly being torn apart. Forbidden technique. It was an extremely powerful forbidden technique. "Senpai, I'll help you." Nangongja was about to raise his sword, but Mike Dai raised his hand and signaled Nangongja not to come over. "Ha! Boy. This is the only ninjutsu that I, Woodleaf Ninja Mike Dai, have practiced for more than 20 years, and it's also the last beautiful lotus that I used to bloom. Don't interfere, this is my youth." Although the words were inexplicably Chunibyu, Nangongja still stopped. Nangongja was very clear that this forbidden technique had almost destroyed Mike Dai's body to the extreme. Even if he saved him now, Mike Dai's time was running out. Several jonins who were behind Nangongja also arrived. They looked at Mike Dai, who was crushing the 3 sannin in the field, but they were silent for a long time. "He is Mike Dai. He graduated from Woodleaf Ninja with me. When he was in school, because he couldn't use ninjutsu or genjutsu, he could only practice taijutsu and was bullied badly by his classmates. All these years he was only a genin. But now he can actually suppress 3 sannin. This is really incredible," Sato suddenly said. "It's a forbidden technique. A forbidden technique that burns your life." Nangongja said. "Me? I've always been told that I'm useless." Mike Dai punched. "I've always been a genin." Another kick was sent out. "Even my child can only practice taijutsu like me. But, I'm also a Woodleaf ninja. I will also fight for Woodleaf. Even if I have to break my arms and legs. Even if I have to pay with my life. I have to prove it. I have to prove to Akai that his father is a ninja that Woodleaf can be proud of one day." Mike Dai used both his fists and feet, and every punch was accompanied by a shout. This was just an ordinary man, but this was also not an ordinary man. Everything he did was for his child, so that his child could be proud of him, and not be humiliated because of him. Morning Peacock. A huge shadow of a peacock appeared behind Mike Dai's back, and burning fireballs accompanied by punches rushed towards the 3 sannin. The absolute power suppressed the three Sannin to the point that they couldn't do anything. Daytime tiger. Mike Dai punched out, and the air turned into a tiger shape rushing towards the Sannin. Evening. Elephant. Blood dyed the sky red just like Mike Dai now, emitting the last dazzling light. A huge hole appeared on the ground and the three Sannin were all in it. They died without an intact body, and turned into wisps of blood foam mixed into the soil. But the Woodleaf ninjas didn't care about the Sannin. Instead they rushed towards Mike Dai one by one. Die. Die. Sato hugged Mike Dai with tears in his eyes and shouted sadly. It's Sato? Mike Dai was very happy to see an acquaintance with a smile on his face. But his face was bloodless and his body was soft. His muscles and bones had long been shattered under the destruction of the forbidden technique. It's me. It's me. Dai, you must hold on. We dare to go to the Middle Army. Find Orochimaru-sama. Find Tsunade-sama. We must go back. Sato looked at Mike Dai's slightly recovered state and immediately carried Mike Dai back to the treatment room. No. Sato. Mike Dai opened his mouth to stop him. I know my own situation very well. This is also my own choice. But I still have a favor to ask of you, Sato. You said, if you see it, Kai, remember to tell him that his dad is so handsome today. Kai said as he tried his best to give a thumbs up with his right hand. However, before he could do that, the strong and stubborn life disappeared. I know. Sato grabbed Mike Dai's hand that was frozen in the air, and tears couldn't stop falling. Chapter 28. Mike Dai died just like that. Sato's body was brought back to the camp. No one spoke along the way. There was no joy of completing the mission. Because in order to complete the mission, the entire team suffered too much damage. 21 lives including Mike Dai were lost forever. This is a ninja, whether it's victory or defeat, it's paved with blood and lives. Orochimaru looked at the people who came back, asked a little about the situation and left. The indifference that seeped into his bones made people's hearts turn cold. About half a month later, the three countries that were fighting Woodleaf all proposed to surrender and negotiate peace. After that, the top leaders of Woodleaf and the Fire Country's government decided to divide the interests of the other three countries and so on. She no longer had anything to do with Nangongja, who had no status. Nangongja just followed the army back to Woodleaf. A lot of people gathered at the gate of Woodleaf, including children and women. They were looking forward to the return of their families. But most of them only got an urn and many of them didn't even get an urn. They only got a letter from their family. Nangong Ro was also in the crowd, worried and uneasy, afraid that she would get the same bad news as many people around her. And I said, you must come back safely. The Rocks ninjas were the first to enter Konoha's village. There was almost no meat grinder in the Rock ninjas' battlefield. Everything went smoothly, so everyone was basically full of energy. But the eyes of the team that lost their comrades were full of tears, moving forward silently. Among them was Kakashi, who had lost his father and his best friend. His eyes were somewhat empty and he now only had one eye. Several Uchiha ninjas were tightly staring at Kakashi. After the Rock ninjas completely entered, they took Kakashi away without paying attention to the eyes of the crowd. Watergate saw Kakashi being taken away and followed. Presumably it was because of the Sharingan? After that, it was the Sand ninjas. The Sand ninjas should have lost a lot of people. But Tsunade was the commander. Most of the medical ninjas trained by Tsunade also followed her to the sand battlefield, so the ninja casualties were not very high. The higher-ups of the ninja village must have seen such a result and made up their minds to develop the training of medical ninjas. However, the few people who knew Tsunade's plan looked bitter. Woodleaf's Princess G's medical ninjutsu level was so high that it was simply unheard of since ancient times. After she left, Woodleaf's medical ninjutsu could be considered to have fallen. However, the higher-ups should have reached an agreement with Tsunade. Tsunade will at least leave a training plan to assist Woodleaf in training medical ninjas. The last ones to enter were the Mist ninjas, who had suffered the most casualties. The blood mist also caused great pain to the Woodleaf. Compared to the time of the expedition, the number of people in the entire army was reduced by almost half, and those who returned alive were almost all injured. Disabled ninjas with missing arms and legs account for a large proportion of them. The cheers of the two troops when they entered the village instantly stopped. Only sorrowful cries could be heard. Dad. Dad. The young Kai rushed to the front of the procession and wept bitterly to Sato Kami, one of his father's few friends. You are Guy. Nangongja walked to Guy's side and said, Your father is a great ninja. In the end he was so handsome. He will be the one we will remember for the rest of our lives. He is the hero of Woodleaf. I know. My dad will be so handsome in the end. Guy's tears and snot were still hanging on his face, but he desperately squeezed out a bright smile and gave Nangongja a thumbs up. If you don't mind, I am also a taijutsu ninja. I can help you train. You can find me later. Nangongja saw Guy's appearance and his heart throbbed. He unconsciously made a promise. Guy, promise him. This person is very powerful and he earned the title of Yama on the battlefield. I'm sure he can teach you. Sato said. Yes. I will definitely become a great ninja and make Dad proud of me. Guy turned to Nangongja and bowed deeply. Sensei. Okay, then I will be your sensei. Go back. I will look for you later. Nangongja replied softly and comforted Kai to go back. Yes, sensei. Guy turned and left, but Nangongja seemed to hear Guy's cries. The cries didn't disappear, but became louder and louder in Nangongja's ears and in Nangongja's mind. All the troops were assembled and Sandame also gave a speech. Nangongja didn't listen to a single word. He just kept silent. Oniai-san. Nangongja went home after finishing a bunch of trivial matters. Nangong-ro came up and hugged Nangongja. Oniai-san. I was so scared every day when you were gone. I was scared that an umbu would suddenly come to my house and send me letters that I didn't want to see. People have been receiving these letters for the past few days. Many of my classmates have also lost their loved ones. I was so scared. Nangong-ro cried loudly. Nangongja even felt that his chest was wet from Nangong-ro's tears. Ro. Nangongja rubbed his sister's head and said, I'm back. Nangong-ro raised her head and looked at Nangongja's face. Welcome back. Oniai-san. Nangongja slept at home for a long time, and when he woke up he found that he had slept for 2 days and 2 nights. He could only make use of the time to put on a morning robe and walk to the Woodleaf's memorial tablet with his sister. He reached out his hand and caressed the cold names on it. White Fang Senpai. Mike, Senpai, and the many ninjas who fought with me. Although your bodies have disappeared, your appearance and your persistence are still remembered by us who are still alive. You have never disappeared. Heroes never disappear, it's just that their bodies rot. May your spirits in heaven bless the Woodleaf. May you have the opportunity to be born into a stable generation and live an ordinary life. Nangongja said and couldn't hold back the tears in his eyes. His legs went soft and he sat in front of the memorial tablet. He cried and wailed. Nangong-ro looked at Nangongja and just silently walked forward and hugged Nangongja's trembling body. The heroes fell into eternal sleep. But will this ninja world really be peaceful because of their blood and sacrifice? No one knew. Everyone was just working hard and looking forward to it. Perhaps one day, there would really be someone who could turn the tide and save the entire world. It's just that these people will never be seen again. Chapter 29. This year, Nangongja was 14 years old. He experienced exile, settling down, and the Third Shinobi World War. Even if his experiences continued to accumulate, the souls and blood in his hands continued to deepen. But it still couldn't change the fact that Nangongja was still a teenager. Some things can't be changed by age. Therefore, Nangongja cried and wailed in front of the Soul Consolation Monument. Finally, Nangongja was tired of crying and he didn't want to cry anymore. He stretched out his hand to wipe the remaining tears from the corners of his eyes and stood up. He looked at his sister who had been hugging him. I made you worry. I don't know why, but my heart suddenly collapsed. No. Nangong-ro also stood up and looked at Nangongja. I know what Oniai-san is facing. So many familiar faces have disappeared, including White Fang Senpai who helped us a lot. If Oniai-san really doesn't have any emotional fluctuations, then something is wrong. Nangong-ro stood in front of Nangongja, stood on tiptoe, hugged Nangongja's head and slowly stroked it. With Ruru here, Oniai-san doesn't need to pretend or suppress. You just have to be yourself. Nangongja never thought that his sister would say such words. In his impression, although his sister was sensible, sometimes she was very willful, just like a child who hadn't grown up. But at this moment, Nangong-ro made Nangongja feel that she had grown up. I'm sure you've been through a lot while I was gone, right? Nangongja didn't say anything. He stretched out his hand and took Nangong-Ro's hand and walked to the residence. After a few days, Sato took Guy to Nangong's house. "Hello, Sato Jiaonan and Guy." Seeing the two standing at the door, Nangongja quickly greeted them. "Xiaoro, prepare some refreshments. We have guests." Nangongja shouted. After hearing Nangong-Ro's response, he led the two of them to the living room. "Sato, did you bring Kai here because of what I promised you before?" Nangongja remembered that he had promised Kai to teach him physical skills when he returned to the village. He immediately understood why the two of them had come together. "Big brother, who are these two?" Before Sato could say anything, Nangong-Ro came out of the inner hall with a tea tray. There was a pot of tea, a few teacups and a few plates of pastries. Speaking of which, I haven't introduced him to you yet. This is Jonin Sato, a senpai who fought alongside me." "Hello, Jonin Sato." Nangong-Ro bowed slightly. "As for this one, she's the child of someone I admire. His father didn't come back, so I promised to teach him physical skills. His name is Michael Kai." Nangongja turned around and looked at Kai. "Hello, Kai-kun." Although Nangong-Ro was a little speechless, she didn't say anything. She still smiled sweetly and said hello to Kai. "Just call me Guy." Guy seemed to be shy and hurriedly said, "Then you guys talk, I'm going to tidy up the house." Nangong-Ro felt that she couldn't talk to them anymore, so she left. "Let's continue." Jonin Sato. Nangongja saw his sister leave, so he talked to Sato about what happened just now. "Yes, we did come to let Nangong teach Guy." Sato told Nangongja the reason for his visit. "I will definitely teach Guy, after all, I promised him. I'm going to take a long vacation in a few days, so I hope I can take Guy with me. But I don't know if Guy's instructor will agree." Nangongja expressed his doubts with a bit of embarrassment on his face. Woodleaf's instructor has a lot of control over the genin. And teaching someone else's student without the instructor's permission is very hateful. So Nangongja has to be cautious. "That's not a problem." Hearing Nangong Zetsu's doubts, Sato suddenly smiled. After this great shinobi war, Konoha reorganized the genin squads because of the severe losses. Most of the teams have changed their instructors. Now I'm Guy's instructor, so if you want to train Guy, you can arrange it. "That's fine. When I'm ready to leave, I'll inform Guy." "Good." After a few words, Guy and Sato left. Seeing them leave, Nangong-Ro walked to Nangongja's side. "Oniai-san, are you sure you want to be Guy's teacher? Some of our secret techniques can't be taught." Before Nangong-Ro finished her words, Nangongja interrupted her. "Don't worry, Oniai-san knows what to do. Guy's father is a great ninja and a great father. I just promised to help him train, not to accept him as an apprentice. Don't worry. Oniai-san, it's good that you know what to do." Nangong-Ro nodded and then said, "Oniai-san, did you just say that you want to go out of the village to train?" "Yeah. What's wrong?" Nangongja was a little confused. "Can you take me with you?" Nangong-Ro looked at Nangongja with hope in her eyes. "Maybe you can't go with me. I'm mainly training strength and endurance. If it's technical training, it may be useful for a ninjutsu ninja like you, but if it's purely physical training, you can't do it for the time being." "Guy can do it?" Nangong-Ro looked puzzled. Guy's family has a problem with their physique, they can't practice ninjutsu or genjutsu. So Guy has been training taijutsu since he can remember. His physical foundation is extremely solid, and he has reached the level of training with me. Now he only lacks skills and the accumulation of time. Since Oniai-san said so, then I won't go. Nangong-Ro was also a reasonable girl. And the ninja school is about to start. Although Nangong-Ro can ask for leave to train, it is better to have a solid foundation in the ninja school. By the way, Oniai-san, do you remember Yabuki-san from the clothing store? Of course, what's wrong? It seems that Yabuki-san is going to get married in a few days with a chunin surnamed Haruno. Is that so? Then let's go and congratulate her. After all, Yabuki took care of us when we first came to Woodleaf. Then should we take a stroll on the streets and find some gifts to send over? Nangong-Ro's eyes flashed with a hint of craftiness. Let's go. Knowing that his sister wanted to go shopping with him, Nangongja didn't say much and agreed. The moon was bright and the lights were on. The bustling commercial street seemed to be isolated from the pain caused by the war. The two strolled for a long time, bought a lot of things and went home. Chapter 30. The next day, Nangongja and Nangong-Ro went out early to help out at Mahabaki's house. The The two of them were very familiar with Mahabaki, so they were considered her family. Ah, Nangongjun and Mio-chan are both here? Seeing that Nangongjur and Nangonro were both here, Mahabaki was very happy. Yabuki-san, congratulations on your marriage. Mahabaki, congratulations on your marriage. The two of them congratulated Mahabaki at the same time. Thank you, it's my fortune to meet Haruno-kun. Haruno-kun was injured on the battlefield, so he'll be teaching at Woodleaf from now on. Maybe he'll even become your teacher. Is that so? That's great. I'll be going out to train for a while, so I won't be able to take Ruru with me. Since Haruno-kun is a teacher at Woodleaf School, please take care of him for me. Of course, I also see Mio-chan as a sister. Ah, that's right. Nangongjia took out a beautiful gift box from behind him. This is a gift from me and Ruru. Can I open it? Mahabaki took the gift box with a happy expression. Of course, it was originally a gift for you. Nangongjia said with a smile. Then I won't be polite. Mahabaki opened the gift box, revealing a beautiful hairpin decorated with cherry blossoms. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much. Of course not, Mahabaki. You took care of us when we first came to Woodleaf, so it's only right that we give you this gift. After a while, the groom, Chunin Haruno, also came out to greet Nangong and Ruru. Nangongjia carefully observed him and found that he still didn't have any impression of this Haruno-kun. Perhaps he was the most ordinary Chunin? This Chunin Haruno seemed to have suffered some damage to his meridians, so he casually retired and came to the ninja school to teach. But it was good. If Mahabaki married a powerful teacher, then it would be torturous for her to live in fear every day. On the day of the wedding, Nangongjia and his sister had a lot of fun. But happiness was always short-lived. Nangongjia finally applied for a training vacation, which was half a year. After notifying Guy, the two went to Woodleaf School together. Since Nangongro was in school today, Nangongjia did not ask his sister to send him off. After all, he was just going out. Guy, have you been doing weight training? Nangongjia and Kai were chatting on the way. Sensei. Kai said to Nangongjia excitedly, 200 pounds? Nangongjia looked at Guy's relaxed appearance. Increase the weight tomorrow to 300 pounds. When you feel you're used to it, continue to increase. Yes, sensei. Guy replied. But sensei, what about you? How much weight are you carrying? Sensei didn't use lead or anything like that to carry the weight. Nangongjia shook his head. I used the earth release, heavy rock talisman. Every day, I injected internal force and adjusted the gravity to carry the weight. Now, it's about 3 times the gravity, right? 3 times? Guy was dumbfounded. Forget it. I knew you wouldn't understand. Nangongjia knew that he couldn't explain it to Guy, so he took out a few talismans from the lining of his clothes and put them in Guy's hand. Stick them on your jacket. These should be about 1.5 times the gravity. Oh. After taking the talismans, Guy stuck the talismans on the inside of his clothes. With a thud, Akai's whole body fell to the ground. This is 1.5 times? Guy said with difficulty. When Nangongjia saw Guy like this, he reached into Guy's clothes and tore off the talismans. For the time being, it's better for you not to carry the weight. Continue to use the compressed lead to carry the weight. When your physical strength grows in the future, I'll ask someone to make a few talismans for you. Thank you, Sensei Nangong. Sure enough, only this kind of life is youthful. Guy gave a thumbs up, revealing a bright white fang. Behind him, there seemed to be waves hitting a boulder. Nangongjia looked at this scene and couldn't help but regret. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse to let such a person train with me. The Guy and Nangongjia finally arrived at the first training location selected by Nangongjia, a Woodleaf Waterfall, which was the huge waterfall in the Valley of the End. Looking at the huge water flowing down, Guy was dumbfounded. Sensei Nangong, are we going to train under such a waterfall? Yes. Nangongjia smiled naughtily. It can't really be here. If this is Sensei's choice, then I'll do it. Guy began to get hot-blooded again. Nangongjia hit Guy's head with a karate chop. Are you an idiot? This is where I cultivate. Can you still find anyone there? Nangongjia pointed to a much smaller waterfall and said, this is your training place. Go. Today, no matter if it's eating, sleeping, or training, you have to do it under this waterfall. If you get washed down, you have to train for an extra hour. Understood, Sensei. Looking at Guy excitedly walking towards his waterfall, Nangongjia began to tidy up his clothes, put on his jacket and shoes, and took the black sword to the bottom of the waterfall. The huge impact swept Nangong's body. The black sword almost flew out of his hand, and he was about to lose his balance. Hold on. Hold on. Change the center of gravity. Maintain the balance. After a long time, under the guidance of Li Yang's voice, Nangongja was finally able to stand firmly under the waterfall. Nangongja tried to swing his sword. The power of the waterfall poured onto the sword, bringing great pressure to Nangongja's wrist. Hack, stab, flick, wipe, chop. A few basic sword techniques were demonstrated by Nangongja one by one. Slowly, Nangongja's speed became faster and faster. The basic sword techniques also slowly changed to the fatal 13 swords that his sister gave him. As time passed, Nangongja's body was tired and his mind was tense. Finally, Nangongja slipped and fell into the river. Fortunately, Guy noticed the abnormality and pulled Nangongja out. Otherwise, his life would have been in danger. After Nangongja woke up, he ignored his fatigue and walked to the bottom of the waterfall. Nangongja was forcing himself to break through his limits. Not only was it a physical limit, but it was also a mental limit. Guy looked at Nangongja's crazy appearance and his heart was moved. He also started to practice crazily. Both of them were exhausted after every training session, but neither of them complained. They just worked hard to practice. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.